But because of the success of Rumors, they were working with Warner Brothers, with Benny Medina at the time.
Yeah,
So as
yeah.
soon as we finished Jealousy, I thought, okay, we finished Jealousy. Okay, well, I'm thinking we just doing songs. As we started on Situation Number 9 the following week, I'm on my way to the studio and Jealousy's on the radio. As I'm driving to the studio, I'm like driving the car, like,
That's my voice.
Dude, nothing like it. Hearing your voice for the first time coming through traditional radio. You know what I mean? That happens in movies. That doesn't happen to you, right? Because you've seen movies where they hear that for the first time. But I'm on my way to the studio to go record another, Situation Number 9, practicing, here I am stuck in, practicing my parts in the car. And also I hear, I can't tell you why these things continue. I don't need jealous. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. There was no cell phones. Who do you tell? Because like right now, right? You'd be like, man, pick up the phone.
Yeah. You're recording yourself.
You almost don't know what to do. You just try.
Hey guys, want to welcome you to another edition of Halftime Chat, and really excited today. Special guest, as I always say, all my guests are special, but this is Samuelle, and he was the lead singer of Club Nouveau. So if you remember tracks like "Lean on Me" and "Friend of Mine" and "Jealousy." Then he also had his own hit, So You Like What You See. And so he does have a new single that he is releasing. So it's going to be great talking to him. I think he's from the Bay Area. He's been, part of the sort of the West Coast New Jack movement. And so I've got my co-hosts from the New Jack Swing podcast joining me on the interview, which just gives us some depth so we can talk about some hidden gems and stuff. But anyway, look forward to bringing Samuelle in and starting the interview. Well, I've got two of my co-hosts from our New Jack Swing podcast who are going to join in because they're massive fans. So they're going to come up with some stuff. So I'm waiting for Stevie and Sheldon to join in.
Oh, okay.
But they'll join us in. But yeah, I'm glad that you were able to join us. And you're based out, is it the West Coast?
Yeah, West Coast. I'm in California, Northern California.
Yeah, thinking that just remembering the fact that you guys out of Sacramento, you had the West Coast New Jack Swing type of thing going on.
Yeah, well, actually, the funny part about it is that we did the LP version, okay, and I was with Atlantic at the time, and Sylvia Rome. As soon as we finished the LP version, she says, "Samuelle, I'm going to call in Teddy Riley, and he's going to remix this thing, and you're going to have a #1 single in this summer." So she called in Teddy, and he did like 5 or 6 different remixes. You can find them if you go to YouTube.
Is that a friend of mine, or is that a different friend of mine?
What's your name?
Yeah, no
Teddy
friend
Riley.
of mine. Yeah, no, this is the track.
Yeah,
friend of mine.
Yeah, no, this is So You Like What You See.
Oh, he did it. Okay.
Yeah, he did. So You Like What You See. Give it the program.
Yeah. Oh,
he did that. He did my solo stuff. Yeah, he did that. He knocked it out. That's the one that you see on Grand Theft Auto. That's the one when I first went solo. That's the one that went straight to the top of the charts and just kind of stayed there for a while. Yeah, so it's big now. Actually, I'm doing a big show with Keith Sweat and After 7 and a few others February 10th for the Valentine's show. So
wow. Well, okay. We're going to start backwards and get to the front because it's going to be it's going to be great. But anyway, Stevie's going to be here. He'll chime in. Stevie, I said to Samuel how much of a fan you are.
Yeah, of course. I was going through the back catalogue before, just reminding myself of the Black Paradise album, stuff that you'd some backing vocals on, and obviously probably where you're going to start shortly as well, Nnamdi. Yeah. Back to the mid-80s, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But anyway, Sam, we do have an international audience, and that's what we always say. So people tune in from all over the place. So we always start off with where you were born and raised.
I was born and raised in Berkeley, California.
Okay.
Out there, not too far actually from Berkeley, the university.
Okay.
Cal Berkeley, yeah, not too far from there. But Berkeley is a very, very, very unique city. I would say Berkeley is is Amsterdam here. You know what I mean? It's the close, because it marches to its own drum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So growing up there, man, it really, really, it really shapes you and musically, because in Berkeley, it played everything. You had everything. You had folk, reggae, rap, gospel, pop, funk. You know what I mean? You had everything on the radio all the time at the same time. So you didn't have just like, what's your favorite music? It was like you heard everything all the time on every station. So you didn't fall into the boat of just, oh, I just like this. I just love R&B hip. You heard everything, so you liked everything. So, you're able to fuse everything.
Yeah.
Like when you hear certain songs, even if you hear my vocals on certain things, you can probably go, hey, that kind of reminds me of, but that kind of reminds, because I kind of grew up hearing everything, not just Motown. You know what I mean? I was hearing the
Wow.
Carpenters. I was a little kid, but I'm listening to the Carpenters and all the big pop stuff, at the same time. So, going through high school and junior high school, Journey, all those big old pop groups that you
Yeah,
hear
yes,
now,
yeah.
the Steve Perrys, the Phil Collins. I heard all those vocalists, so I was able to take this and that and that and that and go,
Wow.
okay, I can see the main thing that they do is master the art of telling a story. It's not about a style. It's about mastering the art of telling a story, vocally, anyway.
So for those of us who aren't in the States, we think when we have Berkeley, we're thinking about, IT, the sort of the tech companies,
Mhm.
the most IQ of 100 and something. For you guys living in Berkeley, was it a university city or town, or was it just like any other place?
Again, like I said, it would be like Amsterdam because you have some of the most brilliant minds in the world in Berkeley, of course.
Yeah.
Um, but at the time I was born, where it's like beginning of end of the '60s, beginning of the '70s, it was that weird time. You know what I mean? It was a time where you had all the things going on up by Cal Berkeley, the protests
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all the different things going on. But what I realized is that the people we call unhoused here now, the homeless or whatever like that,
Yeah.
in those days, we would go up to this place called People's Park. You can look it up. It's very famous. Okay. Right there off the campus. And we'd ride our bikes up, our little bikes up there, and we'd be talking to what we would call homeless or unhoused people back then. And they were some of the most brilliant minds I've ever, because
Wow.
I didn't know at the time that these guys used to be the professors at
Wow.
Cal Berkeley, Stanford. Okay. But what happened is when I got a little older, you talk to them and then they tell you they understood the system that we call capitalism. They understood it so well that it turned them off to the system and they just refused to be a part of it. That's why you see a lot of the protests and stuff like that. So yeah, you have some of the most brilliant minds, scientists, disease, people trying to cure diseases and everything. Several friends of mine still are, went to school with, they still attend. That's what they do for a living.
Wow.
They do those type of things. So yeah, you do get that, but you also get the hippie vibe. You get the I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm marching. You know what I mean? And Berkeley is one of those cities where no matter what your thing is, nobody's gonna look at you and go, "Hey, what's up?" They don't pay attention. They got their own thing going on. So it's unique in that sense.
So hence the diversity of the music you're talking about, that you weren't just listening, growing up in a church, singing gospel music, and that's
Yes.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Vocally, where did you get your sort of training then? I know you were listening to a lot of, the first catalog of what you're listening to, but what about the actual knowing you could sing and actually honing your voice?
Well, not everybody, well, pretty much except for my mom, and my mom was probably about the only one in the family who didn't sing. My
Wow.
dad had a gospel quartet group.
Okay.
He sang as a boy traveling with different gospel groups in Louisiana because they grew up in Louisiana. And so in our house, he would have rehearsals with full band, so, the church was our start. But of course, listening to the radio, you had the Jacksons, you had all these different people on the radio and stuff all the time. But it wasn't until I've always sang. I was singing in the choir since I was about 5 or 6 years old. I was leading songs way before probably a kid. You would think a kid should have been leading songs. but we just, it was with a musical family. So you weren't like, hey, I can sing. It was like your dad did it. My brothers played guitar and bass. I played drums early on, and then, what I mean? So everybody did it. So it wasn't like you thought, hey, I got this gift. I can do music. It wasn't until I think I got closer to junior high school, like, around 13, 14 is when I started listening to older guys like Peebo Bryson,
Wow.
James Ingram, Jeffrey Osborne, Larry Graham. I started listening to those kind of crooner type vocalists, Marvin Gaye, of course.
Yeah.
As a child, my favorite singer, and as an adult, is Sam Cooke.
Wow.
Okay, because to me, his voice, there is no voice like Sam Cooke. I mean, everybody has a unique sound, of course.
Yeah.
But when Sam Cooke sang, even as a kid, I felt it.
Wow.
It was almost like you could just hear, whatever he was singing about, whether it was a happy Frankie and Johnny song or whether it was a change gonna come, whatever he was singing, it just resonated with me as a kid. So his sound and his tone was always like my favorites. As I got older, he's still my favorite, but after that, it's Marvin and Teddy Pendergrass. I mean, those two guys just, They just really, really, they just, you listen to them and you go, no wonder why that they were at the levels that they were. I mean, Michael Jackson and all that, Prince, and of course, but vocal is just, pure, just stand flat-footed and sing, as they say. After Sam Cooke, it would be Marvin and Teddy.
If you could talk a little about Sam Cooke, because I never, maybe because I was in England growing up, but I never, and then he probably passed away before I could remember.
He passed away before any of us, yeah.
Yeah. So, but a lot of people talk about him almost as if he was both a singer and a civil rights leader. But what was what made him stand out compared to other singers? Because they don't. We don't. I mean, Danny Hoffway is another person that we tend to get a lot of people rave about him, but Sam Cooke in particular, what was it about him?
Well, I believe it was, like I said again, his tone, his sound. When I was a kid, as I got older, I realized that him, Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, and Malcolm X and them, those guys were buddies.
Wow.
They were friends, you know what I mean? They were, and some of that stuff I didn't know until I saw the movies. I was looking at Ali and I was like, wait a minute, that's, you know what I mean? And so I remember when that movie Ali was shot with Will Smith playing.
Yeah,
Ali,
okay, that one. Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, like, wait a minute, hold on, that's right. Sam Cooke, Malcolm X, and Muhammad Ali, they were homies, you know what I mean? And you think about what was going on in this country at that time with the civil rights movement and everything like that. And I was just thinking Sam Cooke was one of the first people to ever own publishing.
Wow.
Had his own publishing company.
Wow.
Okay. Nobody had done that. Not even the white pop singers had their own publishing at that time.
Wow.
The labels owned all that stuff. So he was the first for that. But it was almost like when you think of the times, and this goes for Marvin pretty much, the What's Going On, biggest album.
Yeah.
But those guys, they sang about things from a different place. You know what I mean? It's like when you think about Change Gonna Come, you think about he wrote that song. Martin Luther King Jr. had just got killed. Malcolm X had just got killed. You know what I mean? And then those songs mean more than just, oh, he sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But this is what he was singing about. You know what I mean? It's just like the uncertainty of being a colored person at that time. That's why when you hear him saying, you know what I mean? It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, not knowing what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Martin was talking about that, remember? I may not get to the mountain. Remember?
Yeah.
So it was like all that was entwined. They were singing about what they lived. That's why I believe those songs had so much more passion and meaning than some of the songs we sing today. Now we sing about how much diamond. So I got all the money in the world. We got the best looking women with the best bodies, the best cars. You know what I mean? Not to take away from, some of the talent of nowadays, but those guys were singing, David Ruffin, those guys were singing about when they sang about love, man, love was tough back then because, to be a man anyway, to take care of your family and support a family was tough. And to be a man of color here was even tougher because how they divided the family. So when those dudes sang about love, they meant it.
Yeah.
They didn't have all these options. It wasn't like, hey, man, look, I'm going to go play football and have all the women in the world. Those weren't options back then. It was like, I'm going to work, I'm going to be a garbage man. I'm going to work a mechanic. I'm going to work in the shop. And if you lose those jobs, how are you going to maintain the family? How are you going to keep, you see what I'm saying? So when they sang about love and they sang about hurt, it came from a different place. Our hurt is not the kind of hurt that they sing about. Our love is different because back then when a man got with a woman, like I said, the options weren't the same. When you loved a woman back then, you loved a woman. It wasn't like, hey, I love her tonight. I'm not saying they were perfect guys back then, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Wasn't no music videos, wasn't all these opportunities to go out there and make wealth and all this kind of stuff, to have all these options. So people didn't travel, no internet. So when I listened to the way they sang, that's what I said. You have to, it's like an actor. I think some of the guys, and well, not just guys, some of the artists pay more attention to tricks in their vocals, the runs, when those singers back then, Gladys Knight is one of my favorite, Aretha Franklin, when they sang about stuff, it was the passion. You hear it when you listen to them, those vocals, today, you go, but it was different times, different situations. And that's why I always try and draw from life. You got to, not fantasy world where, I'm this guy who got it all going on. My life's perfect. I said, you have to sing first about substance. Okay. And I know I went way off your question, but that's what made Sam Cooke. That's what made Sam Cooke so amazing to me, because he sang about what was happening. Yeah. And he made you feel it. Same like Marvin did with What's Going On. It was like, he wasn't just singing about how good life was for him and, he was singing about what's going, the wars, the hatred, the slaughter, the unrest. And that's, to me, what separated Sam Cooke and those type singers from everybody else.
I guess growing up in Berkeley then, compared to those in the South, was the segregation still happening then? Because you're listening to this and then you're living in an environment. What was it like for you growing up then out in Northern California?
Well, for me, naturally, it was nothing like the South. When I say it was, the South truly can't compare to nothing else at that time. But we had our stuff too, because, the Black Panthers and all that came right out of Berkeley and Oakland. That's right there. Remember Oakland and Berkeley?
Yeah.
Connected. The Black Panthers and them. That's, that was the movements that was going on at that time. You had that segregated thing everywhere. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I said, I didn't come along quite. It was almost, I was at the end of, how when it was that bad.
Yeah.
Some of my older siblings saw it a little bit more. Of course, my parents saw it a lot more. But we were raised different. You were raised, to be respectful and, and to be kind and all these things, because it was, the scales were tipped against you if you're a person of color. But I thank God for the favor. I never had those really racist upbringings. And Berkeley is a very diverse city. Like I said, again, it's like Amsterdam. I'm not saying it didn't exist, but it wasn't anything like the South. Yeah, it was more or less like, you had neighbors that, you've seen people in Berkeley, they'll hug a tree. Okay. It's a love or hate. It's just like they'll tie themselves to a tree before they let you cut it down if they love it that much. But then you have the ones who hate everything. So I was fortunate and blessed enough to be in the city to where people was truly it was well balanced.
Okay. Then when did you then get into saying, okay, I actually want to take this singing seriously?
I've always, ever since, again, we would be driving on vacation from Berkeley to Louisiana. It's a long ride. Back then, it took you like 3 days. My dad would be driving, all of us in the car, and my siblings would all be tired, sleepy, and I would be, I'm the youngest, so I would be able to go in the front seat with my dad, and he'd be like, "Okay, you gonna keep me up while we drive?" Yeah. But he had 8 tracks back then. That was the 8-track tapes. So he would have in the Al Green, Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, Temptations. They'd be on one 8-track tape, and on the other 8-track tape, you'd have the Mighty Clouds of Joy, the Gospel Keynotes, the Seven Blind Boys of Alabama. You know what I mean? Because he was a gospel. My dad was a gospel quartet guy, but
yeah.
He had everything. So as we're riding through all these Texas, which took forever to get through, Mississippi, New Mexico, you know what I mean? I'm listening to all this music and stuff, and when Sam Cooke would come on, I would just go like, I want to do that. You know, more so him. Even then, when I saw the Jackson 5, I loved Michael Jackson and all that. He was a kid, you know, but it was just like Sam Cooke is the one who made me want to sing. It was just like, if I can make people feel like he's making me feel right now, I would do that. You know, and of course, my dad was an amazing singer. So watching him sing and seeing how people reacted to him too, I always go, wow, you know, in church and stuff. And I go, wow, that's a gift. I would love to be able to, you know, move people emotionally like that. So it just was something I think me and my brothers, this is what we're going to do. You know, you never thought like it wasn't going to happen. I'm the one who stuck with it as we got older.
Yeah.
You know, actually went into it for a career, you know, but I always knew ever since I was singing, I've always loved it. Yeah, I've always loved it.
But then how does one take the jump from, you know, singing in the car and being inspired by wanting to sing to actually getting into business? Because it almost feels like, you know, it just seems like a dream that's so far away. How did you get your break?
It's funny. I was just graduated high school, and I went to high school with Denzel Foster, which is the team of Foster McElroy.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was Tommy and Denny, Foster McElroy. They produced In Vogue,
Tony, yeah,
Club
yes.
Nouveau, Club Nouveau.
They were part, yeah.
Yeah, see, I went to high school. I was like coming into high school, and he was exiting high school. So we'd be on the bus. We both play basketball, so we on the bus. I'm this freshman, he's a senior, and on the bus rides back, you know, kids just acting, and I would be singing and doing stuff on the bus, and he'd be like, "Man, you got a voice on you." He said, "You know, when I get out of school, I plan on getting into music and production." And I say, "Hey, if you do, call me." Now, this was 9th grade versus him getting out of, you know, when I got there, he's leaving. Go through the whole high school. I'm singing, I'm doing all kind of stuff in high school. Of course, you know, you sing to the girls and all kind of different things like this. I'm getting ready to go to UC Davis, which they had Black Family Day. Just graduated. And I get a call. And I was just telling somebody, I said, "Man, I heard Denny been," you know, we call him Denny. Denny's been doing music and all this kind of stuff. And I said, "Man, he said he was going to call me when he started doing music." Now, mind you, this is when Rumors had just came out. It was on the radio.
Oh, yes.
And I heard that he was part of it. And I'm like, oh, man. And then to find out Mike Marshall was the guy that I grew up with in Berkeley. He was a couple of grades older than me, just like Denny, was the guy that was doing the song. And I'm like,
he was in Timex.
Yes, Mike Marshall was the voice that you hear on Rumors.
Oh, wow.
So I'm thinking, how did Denny hook up with Mike? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, he said he's going to call me. Now, back to me leaving. It's 90 degrees. I'm about to head up to Davis to Black Family Day where the colleges have all these big barbecues. I'm thinking party, women, club, you know, the whole thing. I get ready to walk out of the door. The phone rings. Now, I'm fresh out of high school, so I'm still living at home. So it could be anybody. It's not like now they calling for me on my phone. It was the house phone, you know what I mean? So I'm looking like, man, I'm not answering that. I'm about to walk out the door. But then something told me, what if his mom called and want you to do something before you leave, right?
Yeah.
I go answer the phone. It's Denzel.
Wow.
Denny. I go, hello? He goes, what's up, man? And the first thing I say is, man, I thought you said when you started doing music. before I even said congratulations or anything. I said, man, I thought you said when you first started doing music, you was going to give me a call. Blah, blah. He said, that's why I'm calling you now, fool. And I said, oh, what's up? He said, wow. Check this out. What you doing Monday? I said, nothing. He said,
I thought you said you were going to college.
Huh?
I thought you said you were going to UC Davis.
I was getting ready to go UC Davis but I answered the phone before I left.
Yeah, okay.
And he said, what are you doing Monday? And I said, nothing. He said, I'm going to come up there. We're going to go by a friend of mine's house, go by my mom's house, and I want to try you out on a song. that we're thinking about going in the studio to do. So now I'm like, what? Oh yeah, okay. After I just wrote him about that. So Monday comes, we go by. He brings this guy. I didn't know who he was. He was, kind of a short guy, and I didn't know who he was. And we get there, and he goes, "Hey, say this and say that." So I did the audition. Basically he was auditioning me, for the song. So I did it, and then the other guy, which turned out to be Jay King at the time, he was like, "Okay, what about this? What about this song?" Because him and Denny were working together at the time. And so I did the other song. So they looked at each other and it was like, okay. All right. So yeah, man, thanks. I'm telling Denny, okay. Denny said, well, man, I'm gonna give you a call, let you know, blah, blah, blah. So he called me the next day. He said, hey, Friday, we're going in the studio. I said, studio? I had never been to a, recording studio at that time. I'm like, okay, cool. Where we going? And what we doing? He said, remember the song we tried you out on? We're going to do that. So we go to the studio that Friday in Alameda and we record Jealousy. The following week, we record Situation Number 9. While we're recording Situation Number 9, because I didn't know what they had in the works already, but because of the success of Rumors, they were working with Warner Brothers, with Benny Medina at the time. So as soon as we finished Jealousy, I thought, okay, we finished Jealousy. Okay, well, I'm thinking we're just doing songs. As we started on Situation Number 9 the following week, I'm on my way to the studio and Jealousy's on the radio. As I'm driving to the studio, I'm like driving the car, like,
that's my voice.
Dude, nothing like it. Hearing your voice for the first time coming through traditional radio. You know what I mean? That happens in movies. That doesn't happen to you, right? Because you've seen movies where they hear that for the first time. But I'm on my way to the studio to go record another, Situation Number 9, practicing, here I am stuck in, practicing my parts in the car. And all of a sudden I hear, I can't tell you why these things continue. I don't need jealous. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. There was no cell phones. Who do you tell? Because like right now, right? You'd be like, man, pick up the phone.
Yeah. You're recording yourself.
You almost don't know what to do. You're just driving.
Wow.
And I'm driving, and I get to the studio, and I'm like, man, on the way over here, I heard the sign. And they're like, we told you. No, you didn't. You told me. I didn't even know I was part of. I'm thinking they just steal us a tryout. I'm thinking we doing promos.
Okay.
Yeah, it was after that, no turning back. Then I kid you not, like maybe 3 weeks after we started this thing, we come in and like I said, I didn't know the negotiations that Denny and Jay and Tommy and them had going on with Warner Brothers at the time. Benny Medina. By the time we got to the third song, we're sitting in there and Warner Brothers had sent us over some contracts. So I went from going to UC Davis on a Friday to a Monday going in the studio, and the following Friday going back in, hearing my song on the radio, sitting down, and now we have artist agreement contract. We didn't even have a name at the time. We're sitting there right there going, what we gonna call ourselves? What we gonna call ourselves? You know what I mean? And Valerie came up with the name Club Nouveau. So
when you joined, so who was in the group by the time you were singing your parts? You said
it was me.
Yeah,
me and Valerie.
You and Valerie.
That we were the vocal. We were the vocalists. Denny sang on Lean on Me. He did low tone times in our life. You hear him doing that, but that was his only occasion. Jace eventually sang on White Tree so that the verses you hear
White, yeah.
I'll tell you so that. But that was it. Other than that, it was just supposed to be me and Valerie the whole way. But we needed a real baritone bass voice on Lean on Me, so that's why you hear Denny going, sometimes in our life. We're all doing it, but he's the baritone.
Okay.
And then I come in and do all the other stuff, just like on White Tree so bad. I do all that. I don't know why, baby, all that stuff. So, but literally, man, it happened fast. I came in the house. My mom was having some ladies over for lunch, tea, or whatever. I walked in and I told my mom, hey, Mom, just want to let you know, just signed a contract with Warner Brothers. So next week we're going to go out on the road and start doing some shows. She laughed.
She thought you were joking.
She thought I was joking. Her girlfriends, everybody laughed. They cracked up. They looked at me. They said, boy, my mother said, boy, get on out of here. You tell me. I said, okay, no, seriously, I'm telling the truth, Mom. And my dad came in and she said, hey, talk to your son. He's talking crazy. So what? I said, no, I was just telling her. I just signed a contract with one of us, and I'm gonna be going out. There. So, boy, come sit on, go grab something so we can get ready to eat. Nobody believed it. It was just boop. I come from a family of jokesters, so they thought it was joking. And until that following week, they saw the plane. Back then you had the hardcore tickets, plane tickets. They'd overnight them to you through, what was it? I forgot I don't know if it was FedEx or whatever they used to use back then. It wasn't until that things came to the house and I had to sign for them and it opened them tickets up. They're like, "Are you sure?" They did not believe it, man. It happened that fast. I'm talking about it scene when people say it was overnight, because I didn't go through the process singing with all these different bands. Guys that tell you, man, since I was 7, 8 years old, me and my boys was in the garage jamming every day. I didn't do all that. You know what I mean? I was still singing in my father's quartet group at that time. You know what I mean? And it went strictly from that to that. That's why I said nobody can tell me that God ain't real. Okay? Because you ask for something, and he'll give it to you. You just got to be ready when it happens.
Well, but were you prepared for it? Because that does, you're talking about just finishing high school and now having a big hit on the radio. Were you ready for the change? I mean, did you really think it through? As if should I go for this?
I was ready for everything, except for you don't realize what fame is until you're in it.
Wow.
I was ready for this thing, and I wasn't girl crazy, so that didn't. The money, of course, you're ready for, but it was the fame where you all of a sudden you can't do things anymore. That was the part that was strange. You know what I mean? Because songs being on the radio is one thing, but videos were out. Remember, the videos is what changed everything.
Yeah.
Because as we were out on the road performing, when we left, nobody knew what we looked like because our pictures weren't even on the album. Remember, we had
you use those.
Those
painted.
It wasn't until Jealousy video, Situation Number 9 video, Lean on Me video. See, as those things are playing and they're bumping on BT and all these videos and stuff, we're on the road. So we think the only people see us is the people in front of us. And we start going places. And that's when you start finding yourself being mobbed, because they recognize you. And that's when it was like, whoa, now all the other stuff, fine. But this, you know what I mean? Because it's the first time you feel that vulnerable. You're thinking like, man, mob me. You think they do that just to, the super, super, super.
Yeah.
Oh, I found myself at the bottom. We were at a show. It was us. It's Club Nouveau, Ready for the World, The System.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Brown when he was on King of Stage album.
Okay.
And it was somebody else. New Shoes? I think it was New Shoes. Big old place. Sold out, packed. I mean, but we used to be able to go on and then come out and watch the rest of the show, right?
Yeah.
We used to be able to go on stage, perform, and then we come out in the audience, and just be able to kind of watch the show, like, because we were on at first. We were the new kids on the block. So we were on first. And we came out the last time I came out, me and Tommy, we used to go change clothes and come out. And we're sitting there and we're watching the show. And I look to my left, and all I can remember doing is seeing, a person, somebody sees you and they go, and they don't think nothing of it. You look, I don't think nothing of it. I look back again, and then she whispers to her friend, and I go, uh-oh. And then I look to my right, and you see people whispering like this. Next thing I know, security guard was pulling me from up under a pile of people.
Wow.
And I mean, they're pulling, tearing. And that was the first time it was real. And here I am thinking, dude, I'm a guy, I'm an athlete. They ain't gonna just bulldoze me. Yeah, you get enough people. Okay. And you're not fighting. You're just trying to, hey, whoa, this next thing it comes from the sides, the back. It looked like that movie. I don't know if you guys saw that movie with Brad Pitt. It's called something Z or
the zombie one.
Yeah, the zombie one. You smell how fast they were moving?
Yeah.
That's what it's I swear, I never did it again. I was like, that's it.
Wow.
And it really psychologically, I was like, that's real. You know what I mean? Because you saw it on television. You've seen the Jacksons as we watched them. We can't go to the movies, can't. So we actually went through that for a period of time. That's the one thing I wasn't like really prepared for, because I liked the outdoor stuff. I like going to movies. I like both. I liked all those things at the time, but for a while there, it shut that down where you can, do that kind of stuff. Yeah, shut it down for a while.
You mentioned how quickly things were. You talk about Benny Medina and stuff. And did you know who he was, Benny Medina, the head of urban black music at Warner Brothers?
When I met Benny, that's what they said. Benny said, "Yeah, I'm the head of the black division." Nice guy. We were in the UK for about 2 weeks doing all the television shows and all that kind of stuff. We're over there with what's his name? He had that big hit, "Shake You Down" back then. Gregory Abbott.
Oh yeah. Gregory Abbott.
Gregory Abbott was there. Billy Ocean. We were over there doing a bunch of stuff. So everybody had their artists over there doing all this promo stuff at the time. So we did all the televisions there, Munich, Germany. We went to the Montreux Festival in Switzerland. Man, I was hanging out with what's your name? John Lennon's son, and didn't even know who he was.
Wow.
Jamie Lynn. I didn't even know who he was. We were just in the lobby, just hanging. You don't know. We just, dude, I ain't even 20 barely. You know what I mean? It's just like I go there and we're hanging out, and he's the one helping me translate what all these people are saying. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, that's. And we're at the Montreux Festival in Switzerland. You know what I mean? And it just we travel so much and so fast, and that's when I realized it's a beautiful world. It's a big world, like small but big. And we had a wonderful time out there. But it was just Benny was just so cool. He was like so supportive. You know what I mean? Our stuff was. He was a big part of why we were so successful. As you can see, everything he's touched since then has been super successful. But he just knew what he was doing.
Now, I guess it sounds so for those of us listening, it's like, wow, they had you come into the studio, demo some songs. It's gone around the world. But then, does anyone say, okay, let's talk about how the industry works, your contracts, how much you're getting paid? Or are you do they see someone who's green and really so in awe with the singing and the limelight that, yeah, we'll give you $5 a week and you'll be cool with that?
No, we actually had a great deal. We actually got royalties on our first album.
When you say we, are you talking about Club Nouveau? But are we talking about Samuelle? Okay, but then what about you? Because you.
We made great money while we were on the road, and we came home to royalties when we got back. So
they took care of you. So no one tried to date.
No. When whatever deal that Jay King and them worked out with Warner, with Benny and them, we actually made money. Wow. That's the one thing I can say, we made money. And then and I thought that was normal. I'm thinking, why shouldn't we? You know what I mean? We're successful. We're out there doing. But then you start talking to people who, who's been out before you and after you. You hear all those horror stories. That's why I said again, it had to be from above. That's all I can say. Is because I didn't know a million things about contracts and all that kind of stuff. So to not get, that was in the hands of Tommy, Denny, and Jay, that we didn't get dicked around in the contracts. You know what I mean? It's like, obviously they kind of had people that kind of understood, what was going on to make sure. And that was at a time when we were all close. So it was like, if one was taken care of, we all kind of, you know what I mean? In that sense, So we didn't get messed up in that sense.
Yeah, because I did interview Jay a while back, and he talked about his story of promoting Timex, and when he got it on the radio and it was a big hit, then they went behind and sort of sold the stuff to somebody while he was out doing all the hard work and stuff. You mentioned that the guy who in Timex who sang the song, you knew him.
Yeah, Mike Marshall. Yeah,
Mike. Now you're singing "Jealousy," which is about him and the group.
The group,
yeah. Did you not think, oh man, that's my guy? Did you?
No, because basically he knew the situation. You know what I mean? And me and him get along to this day. We're going to probably do some music together. It was a time where he knew I came in. I'm not writing this material. This ain't me. This was a situation, and they knew. Because Marcus Thompson is another great friend of mine. Me and him do other businesses together. He was the one who helped write Time. He was the other guy, the other original member who helped write Rumors as well. And it was just, it's so funny because it was a time where they were like, damn, but they knew Jay was the one who wrote Jealousy.
Oh, he was upset, yes,
sir. Yeah, they knew he wrote Jealousy. You know what I mean? And they knew what it was talking about because while he was out making sure that record got blown up and everything, they got approached by what was the name of it? I can't think of who the person was now. When they got approached by another, person, manager or whoever, and they knew. It's just like they looked at, well, we got a guy trying to go get us a contract, and here's a guy who already has one.
Yeah.
So what do young people do who probably barely paying rent and everything? You know what I mean? So that's what they did. They and if you ask them, they'll tell you, because he didn't know, it was unsure. It's almost like a bird, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush type thing.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. But, of course, that hurt Jay Victor. You know what I mean? He went out, did all this stuff, and you come back, okay, guys, and they go, oh, yeah, we already did. So the other person just walked in and, got the chance to just walk into everything that was all successful when the person who did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why Club Nouveau was formed with an urgency, I should say, and had a lot of passion involved in it. You know what I mean? It was, I'm glad I wasn't a part of, all the kind of stuff before it happened, because then I probably would have been like, man, I can't sing about my boys.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? At the time, I'm like, whatever. I'm just singing songs. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. And then you find out, oh, well, that's what y'all talking about? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you heard me. So.
What did your folks say about Jealousy, seeing you on, not just the song, but the fact that here's a big hit, your video?
Oh, they were happy. It's just like, they were like, dang, yeah, maybe we should have waited, you know what I mean? Because we got a much better deal than they did. So
no, your parents. I'm talking about your parents.
Oh, my parents. Oh, yeah, they were extremely happy to see the success of the band. You know what I mean? They were, you go from, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, Mom. Hey, we just did this, and not believing you, to all of a sudden you're on the radio everywhere. I'm on tour, with people they love and admire, the Luther Vandrosses and all that kind. You know what I mean?
Wow.
You're traveling with the Whitney Houston. You know what I mean? They're just like, he went just telling us to now he's out there doing it. So very, very proud. My dad he's always been our biggest supporters and fans, and very proud. Very proud.
Stevie, what are your thoughts about the debut album?
I'm going to be totally honest here. I didn't really get into soul and R&B till about the late 1987, and I stumbled across the new sound of soul and R&B literally by luck, going through the radio, and I heard a local radio DJ. He's one of the big black music DJs in my city, which is Manchester.
Manchester. Okay.
Yeah. But the time before I got into soul R&B in the late 80s, I was a big Madonna fan. And here's the link with Madonna. Now, I first heard your voice, and I didn't even know it was you, on a Madonna soundtrack, 1987. Who's that girl? Yeah. And I heard this track. And it's step by step.
Yeah.
What the hell is this? And I'm like, who is this? Club Nouveau. I'd never heard of it. But I was like, what the hell? I literally threw my passion for Madonna at the time, and then hearing Step by Step. And it was such a fun. It's a forgotten track. It's a brilliant track. Yeah. It's so forgotten, but
Yeah, where's it from, Samuelle?
We did that. Actually, what's funny? We were on a tour. We were on a tour bus, and me and my cousin David Agent, he had just got this little music thing, and Jay had just said, "Hey, Madonna," because Madonna had wanted us to go on tour with her. Wow. But that's a whole nother fiasco that didn't happen. That should have happened, but
you were the same label, okay?
Yeah, we're the same label, and she wanted to go on tour with her. She wanted the Club Nouveau, because she evidently she liked what we were doing, and we had, same label, just wanted to. So they were like, "Hey, we're going to get a song. Benny wants us to do a song for her movie, on the soundtrack." So we're just on the tour bus, and David Agent is dum dum dum. She got this little funky beat. Dum, dum, dum. So we're sitting there playing around with different stuff like that, and playing around with lyrics and stuff like that. And then we was trying to figure out what we're gonna, sing about and stuff like that. So we all kind of came together, and and then was it Jay or Tom? I think Denny. Denny came in, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put some saxophone right there. That's that sax you hear, bang, 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 and you hear some real Club Nouveau sounds on there." But I thought the melody, and I didn't even know where the melody came from. It just in my head when they were talking about, "Hey, we're gonna say this, 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 and this." The first thing came out of my mouth, the melody was, "I'm not looking for trouble, but it seems to keep following me. I get up and I move on the double. Look at my face and what do you see?" Then he goes, "Oh, I mean, it was just so funky and slick. I was like, hey, we're going to kill this when we get back to the studio." So I know exactly what he's talking about because I just listened to it probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And it just came on. I was like, man, that song was funky. You know what I mean? Dun, 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 dun. And the way the vocals is so abstract. What the music, you know, it just comes in a pocket. Dun, dun, dun. It's slick, you know, it's real slick. So yeah, I appreciate that, Stevie. Yeah, you said, who the hell? I like how you said, who the hell is Nuba? Who the hell is these guys? Yeah.
But what happened to the tour then? How come that didn't go on?
You know, I don't know what happened. See, that's the things, Valerie and myself, we weren't a privy to what was going on with that. But somehow Jay and them did, I say, fumbled. If this is soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, they effed up the play, okay? Because that would have been amazing. She was playing stadiums. Okay, we were building this big fan base. So could you imagine the fan base we would have had we gone out with Madonna? And I loved Madonna at that time. You know, Madonna was just still an icon. You know what I mean? She was at icon status. There was no Taylor Swift. It was no Taylor Swift. Janet wasn't big like that back then. But Madonna was it. You know what I mean? She was at the top of the heap. And, you know, you got to have mad respect for her. Because like I said, if you take Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga and put them in one, that was Madonna in that time. You know what I mean? Because just like everything she did was just so deep and so accepted. You know what I mean? And it just like she was the first one, I think, that really put females on the map to like, hey, you tell your story, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Because, you know, a lot of people were in that cookie cutter, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this.
Yeah.
Madonna was, hey, if you listen to her music, you go like, she was Cyndi Lauper kind of dapped in it, but Madonna she was the queen of pop. You know? She was the queen of pop, man. She just had it down. So I was thinking like, and me personally loved it. I was like, man, I'd love to be out there just to meet her and think that maybe you could do some work with her. You know what I mean? I'm always I want me to sing with her. You know what I mean? Do some shows or something. You know, you never know. Because that was Madonna. You know, she liked you and respected you back then. You know, she worked with a lot of different people. So that was my thing. Like, man, if I can get in there, Warner Brothers might just say, hey, we're going to get Sam and Madonna on a track. You know what I mean? She was doing movies. She was doing everything. So
it was great to actually get a placement on that soundtrack, though, I think.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of Madonna tracks. I think there was a track by Scritti Politti, which they had a great sound in the mid-'80s as well. It's very synthy, very funky sound, slight R&B. So you could put it in that box. I mean, it was a great placement, I thought, on that soundtrack. I thought the soundtrack was probably better than the film, though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, the film wasn't great.
No,
but
still watching, but the soundtrack's great.
Yeah,
soundtrack's
the
fantastic.
soundtrack. Yeah, the soundtrack. That's funny. Not too often is the soundtrack better than the film. It's usually the other way around. But in this case, yeah, you're right. I believe the same thing. I was looking because when I saw the movie, I was like, and I'm thinking like Madonna can really act, but it just didn't. It just wasn't like, it just wasn't one of those films. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, but the whole soundtrack is dope.
Yeah, if we went back to Life, Love and Pain and I mean your biggest to have your debut album, to start having Jealousy, Lean on Me, Why You Treat Me So Bad, the Loonies have really made that another 90s icon. But I mean, when it was the singles were just hitting and blowing up, especially you did the Lean on Me. And so at this time, I was living in Nigeria. So I remember hearing Rumors, then Jealousy. And we're like, it was almost like the original software, where, rappers rappers would go against each other. The fact that we had Rumors and Jealousy and we're like, well, what's going on? And as I said, coming from international market, And then you did, Lean on Me, which, most of us hadn't heard. I hadn't heard the original one, so it was yours. That was the first one we saw. And then Why You Treat Me So Bad. You were just having hit after hit. Was it just the success? Did you think, oh, this is how it is? You just blow up so quickly? Or?
I didn't know how it was supposed to be. All I knew was it was special. I recognized that. Because there's no way that, we used to go out and we were opening for like Cameo and different bands. And within 2 or 3 weeks of the tour, we ended up headlining.
Wow.
And you talking about Cameo?
You were headlining over Cameo?
We were in Boston with Cameo and we were opening. It was us. I can't remember who else, a few other acts. It's a big show. And this is when Larry was still slim. You know what I mean? This is before the Cup.
Oh, before the Cup. Okay, this is before the Cup.
And he was, Cameo was killing. They were killing it, right? So then the Cup album came. By the time we met again, then the Cup album came. That's when Word Up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was something about when all of our songs were hitting at the same time. You know what I mean? It was almost like when we would go, I just remember we would do Jealousy, Situation, like Junior So Bad, Heavy on My Mind. And by the time we got to Lean on Me, it was like when we would, finish, they would be yelling encore. Now you got other groups that's supposed to come out and they'd be like, "We want Club Nouveau, we." I knew that wasn't normal. You know what I mean? It was just like, wait a minute, hold on, we're openers. We're opening for these groups. But the promoters started recognizing once Club Nouveau was finished, the people were kind of disengaging a little bit.
Wow.
Because the audience was, it was our audience. It was a young audience, and of course, they loved all the cameos. They loved the Ready for the Worlds and all that kind of stuff. But we had a special zone and a special time where our songs were just, and if people would say it was just like one. It seems like you just 1, 2, 3. It's like a lot of people would have 1, 2, and then they go through some other song and they might have a fun. But we were blessed enough to have everything that was hitting at the same time on radio and in videos at that same, So people were just like, it seemed like it was, to me, I think they felt, it seems like we were doing more than what we were actually doing. We were coming out and giving them, and of course we had a great show. We had all this still interacting type stuff, but it was, when I think about it, I go, wow, it was like, we were coming out, and these are songs they're hearing every day, all day. Not like you just hearing one and these other ones are on our album. It's like they were hearing this one, they were hearing that one. It was, so it made it, Warner Brothers knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They marketed us. They knew what they were doing. And we did Rumors in our show. So they knew what they were doing.
You did Rumors. Jay produced it, so he could have.
Yeah. Tommy and Denny and Jay, they produced it. So we would come out to that.
Oh, wow.
You see what I'm saying? So, it was.
What about Valerie? Because if you think about it, we got used to Atlantic Star, Midnight Star, Ashford and Simpson. So there's female-male kind of combo. It's a rarity now. When people think about that, we think of the Fugees. But during that time, it didn't seem kind of uncommon to have one female singer in a mix of males. How was that chemistry between yourself and Valerie being the singers in the group?
Great, because Valerie, when you hear, it's because of the way we both sang together is what made it. Because when you listen to Situation Number 9, I come in, here I am stuck in this rut again. Ooh, I don't know what to do. I got that thing going on. And then she comes in, boy, to tell you. She comes with little petite fit, but this big old voice, really need to check your head. People are like, whoa, that came out of her. You know what I mean? So it's a great blend. And if you listen to all of our songs, same thing. Heavy on My Mind, same thing. You know what I mean? Why You Treat Me So Bad, same thing. Lean on Me. You know what I mean? It's just like our sound together, the way we interacted, our voices and stuff like that was cleverly put together by Tommy and Denny, Foster McElroy. They cleverly weaved us in together. And her and I still to this day, we do the voices of Club Nouveau because Club Nouveau Jay has like most bands, he has a branch and we have a branch, but Val and I do the voices of Club Nouveau and we do all the hits.
Okay.
The album got reissued this year, actually, the first album.
Yeah, got reissued by Reservoir, Tommy Boy Reservoir. Yeah.
Okay.
they
It's a
just
big Tommy Boy
reissued it.
reissue campaign, isn't it? Because I picked it up, but you
Huh.
got to mention the production on the album, because the production was it's still so ahead of its time. I think
Yeah.
it's pre-New Jack.
Mhm.
It has stood the test of time, you know.
Yeah, and me and
Something
Tommy,
different.
it's totally different. Me and Tommy, because I'm working on a bunch of new material, and me and Tommy are doing some stuff together as well, and we talk about that. You know, we just just 3 days ago we're in the studio and picking up music that I'm getting ready to do a mix for some of my new stuff that me and him worked on together. And it's just so funny. I tell Tommy, I said, wow, it just amazes me on how they weren't trying to set themselves apart from anybody. It was just like this is just what was pouring, you know, the creativity that was pouring out of them at the time. So when you say that, I go, you can't try to do that. You know what I mean? You just got to be that lucky, blessed person to do it. You know what I mean? Because like you said, I listened to it and I go, there was no rap at that time. Okay. So we had big drums and sound, boom, boom, all them heavy kicks and all that kind of stuff, and fat bass lines before you had, of course you had the Sugar Hill Gang at that time, but it wasn't so like it is now, where everything has got fat 808s and all that stuff. We had all that stuff, like you say, before. And then the thing about it was pre-New Jack, because we had songs that most people would have probably rapped to musically, and we sang to it. You know what I mean? We put R&B, neo soul, whatever you want to call them. We put soul vocals with songs that usually would have been for rappers. So that's, to me, where you get that. Like, to me, that's what hip hop is. People think everybody has what they think hip hop is. I think hip hop is when I listen to certain artists like what's Post Malone and those guys. You know what I mean? Because they have all the music that you just know somebody's gonna rap to, right? And then they come on singing, and then you go, wow, that's, you know what I mean? That's so clever, because I just knew he was getting ready to start, you know, but he comes on, you know, him, what's the other guy? It's several of them actually, but I love how some of these new guys are taking those beats like we had, and they're singing to them, and some of the females are doing it too. You know what I mean? You're thinking like, oh yeah, okay, and you just know they're getting ready to come out and start rapping, because back in the day it would have been nothing but rap, right? But they're singing to them, and they got these different melodies and stuff like that. My only drawback from some of the new stuff, like I said, I love the creativity. You know, people say, well, they just took a song from. You still got to be creative on the track. Yeah. Okay, you just to take an old song and do something. I get it. It's just like, good, but there's only so much new music you can do, almost. You know what I mean? Without somebody's bass line sounding somewhat like this or like that. But I just think if they had better subject matter, that they were doing all this cleverness. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I listen to it and I go, then I go, God. The only thing about it is they're gonna play the hell out of that this year, but you won't hear it next year. You know what I mean? It's just like this year, it'll win all these things this year. Oh, #1 single, best new artist, blah, blah, blah. Most downloads in the world. 2024, you won't hear it unless you personally go in your phone and try and find it. But it's almost like, I don't know if it's because, well, I know subject matter matters. Okay, because there's nowhere in the world that you can hear all the stuff that you hear. And then you hear one of my favorite female vocalists come out and just say, hello. and I totally forget about all the other females that's out right now. Okay. As soon as I hear Adele sing, it's like I forget about everybody else. And it's not just her voice. It's because of what she's singing. You know what I mean? It's like, those are the songs that's going to last. I'm not telling other people not to do that, but I think everybody should have some dance tunes and some fun songs. But you got to have something. You got to shoot for something that's going to be around years from now. You know what I mean? Because when I hear Adele, I go, wow. You know what I mean? You go, a piano. You know, we think, no, we got to be slapping. We got to. Yeah. She just comes out, take it easy on me, baby. But it's the way she delivers it. You know what I mean? The chords and the subject matter. Again, she mastered the art of telling the story. Because you see people who are not going through anything she's going through. But when she starts, they're there. in the trenches right with her. And they'll tell you that. I don't know if you've ever seen Adele sing live, but if you ever go to an Adele concert, look at the people there. Just watch them. It ain't like when you go to dance concerts, they just throw their head. I'm seeing grown women who's raised kids.
Wow.
They're holding on to every, you see what I'm saying? Every word. And I think to myself, and I go, wow. It just trips me out because you will play that next year and a year after and a year after and a year after. And again, it just all, to me, it's like actors and entertainers. When I see certain actors, I love movies. And I don't mean just big movies. I'll go see B and C movies because sometimes that's where you find your best actors. You know, you go, wow, the movie wasn't that great, but man, that person, you know, and that's how music is. You become an actor. You take on the character or the spirit of what the song is about. And if you can do that, then you'll find yourself on an interview almost 40 years later.
Talking about you.
Which, you see what I'm saying? Well, we 35, 36 years later, you know what I mean? And you guys are saying, tell me, you see what I'm saying? And
yeah.
it's not by accident. It's really by design. And I love the freedom of independent artists. I love this freedom. But I can see why record labels sometimes will be like, we know you can do that, but that's not where that's not where you're going to make money at. That's not where you're going to be successful at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we always heard, you're telling me no, you just don't think I can do it. You know what I mean? But it's like, if you, I know there's plenty of singers ever since they're not with major labels no more. I hear their material and I'm like,
yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that the labels were experts, but they would bring in experts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They bring in arrangers and vocals as they'd come in and they go, great voice. I just think she needs to be doing more of, you know what I mean? Then they would place you with somebody sometimes.
Yeah.
I think we came in the era where we did it ourselves. You know what I mean? Where we were our own writers, our own producers, which was unheard of, but you had a lot of creative people, young people in one camp. And that's what you got. Me and Tommy were just talking about that. Tommy said, everybody keep trying to give me credit for doing it. Tommy said, I just worked, what you guys were singing is what I played to. You know what I mean? He said, me and Denny didn't create no, when you sang your vocals, we go, man, when Sam's doing that, we should do, you know what I mean? He said, I said, I know, we were just kids being creative, just like, so, you know, it's just like no limits, you know, the label was just like, hey, we trust you. And that's what Benny didn't have to do, but he did. He trusted us. Because, you know, most labels will sign you and say, okay, now I'm going to send some other producers over there with you guys. And he didn't do that. He said, what you've been doing, keep doing. So that freed us up to just go in there and have fun in the studio. And that's why, like I said again, that's why it came out the way it did.
But then, because when you've already, you had a very successful debut album, then what happens when you try to follow that up? That's
we had an amazing second album, but the powers that be, the Trinity, Tommy, Denny, and Jay, fell out. So you had the Trinity that fell out because we had started working on the second album. We had some amazing stuff, but when they fell out, so that the material all fell out too. That's why I'm only, me, Tommy, and Denny are only on the first album. So all the other Club Nouveau stuff you heard after that, that's not me. I'm not there. That's just Val and Jay. And then they brought in other people. That's what I said. People always say, well, I didn't even know y'all had no more albums. I said, yeah, they did a few albums, but we don't have the full formula anymore. There was a formula that we had, you know?
Oh, so why did you, because I know I saw you do some stuff with Tommy and Denny's, their solo stuff, but why did you, when they fell out, how did you pick this, what did you decide to do?
Because they're who brought me in. Remember, I didn't even, Tommy and Denny that's who I knew. See, Val knew Jay from childhood. Denny from childhood. You know what I mean? So I was like, at that moment, it came, who do you trust? You know what I mean? And I really didn't know Jay that well, but I didn't trust him that much either.
Okay.
There were some things.
The second, I remember the second Club Nouveau. I remember that from '88, but it just didn't do anything.
Yeah, it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same production. wasn't the same musician, same production, or it wasn't even the same direction. You know, put it this way: if you remove the producers who produced the first track and the lead male vocalist from the first album, if you take those elements away, it's gonna be different. You know what I mean? And that's what you had, because you know they fell out.
You also changed. You seem to change labels in that transition. How did you go from like Warner Brothers to Atlantic? What happened?
No, but then Samuelle said he left after that first album. So did you get involved?
Did I get involved with what?
No. So didn't Benny not say, okay, this is, you know, you guys have just gone platinum plus, we need to make sure you guys are, or did he just step back?
See, Jay, I don't know what kind of conversations Jay had with Benny, but I think Jay told Benny we were kind of like the problems or whatever, because I don't know what conversations that Benny had with Tommy and Benny, but I didn't have any conversations with Benny at that time, because like I said again, it was like if you were the company or whatever the people who brought you in that you've been the closest with, that's where you're going. And you know what I mean? I believe that if Valerie would have been on the same side as myself and Tommy Denny, I believe Benny would have stepped in then.
Okay.
And said, oh, wait a minute, hold on. We got the whole group over here, man. You're supposed to be just independent label. You're not even supposed to be in the group. Basically, he wasn't even supposed to be in the group. It was just supposed to be me, Valerie, Tommy, and Denny.
Oh.
Yeah, Jay was the independent label.
He was the label.
Connected with Benny. Yeah. He was helping write the lyrics and stuff like that, but he wasn't supposed to be in the group. Okay. Until we did Heavy on My Mind. I mean, Why You Treat Me So Bad. And he decided that he just wanted to be doing something. You know, I don't just want to be, the label guy. I want to be, do this, and this. So they allowed him to come on that track, and that's how he actually got himself in the band, to be in the group.
Okay.
When we performed and stuff like that. So it was, I believe Benny would have, and like I said, again, I don't know the conversations, but I can only imagine that Jay must have told Benny that, we were being, uncooperative, whatever the situation was. But when we got out, to answer Steve's questions, when we left that, Steve, it was like 87, 88. They were in the studio working on different stuff. And I was in the studio doing backgrounds on different projects they had. They had a production album that they did with a bunch of different artists. Mm-hmm. And that's when In Vogue, I met In Vogue. We came in, we were singing backgrounds on different projects that they were doing. In Vogue wasn't even called In Vogue yet. And they were shopping deals, production deals around. And then David Lombard, who was managing them at the time, and myself, he wanted me to go to some of the meetings with the different labels. So we met with different labels. And then we met with Sylvia, who was over Atlantic. Well, actually, she was the head of WEA, which is Atlantic, Warner, and Elektra. Yeah. She was the over all of them at the same time. So we went, and they were pitching some of the stuff to her, like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, blah, blah, blah. Myself and Vogue and the Funky Nation. It was like a 3 or 4 piece band that they were working on, which was kind of like George Clinton and them, it's like funk. And when we got there, we're sitting in the meeting, and Sylvia, as we were talking, they were talking about In Vogue and all this kind of stuff. I'm sitting there, and I'm in the meeting, I'm just taking it all in. I'm like a sponge, right? I'm sitting here with the president, she was a very pretty lady, but I was just like, this pretty petite, beautiful lady is the head. You know what I mean? It's like she's powerful,
a sister, right? Too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, wow. And she was sitting in the chair, and I'm sitting like kind of off to the side, and she was talking to Tommy Denny and and Dave, and they had all these people in there, Van, her other A&R people, and they were talking about, yeah, we're going to do this, this, and this. And she's like, well, that sounds interesting. That sounds very interesting. I'll never forget this. And she spun her chair around and faced me and said, now let's talk about the man with the golden voice, Samuelle. What do you think? And I'm like, what do I think about what? I'm like, think about what? Yeah. And she started talking to me, and I'm thinking, like, in my head, I'm going, calm, I'm calm, but in my head, I'm going, like, this lady is talking to me right now. But I'm so geared, because of the way we were raised, to just be able to respond accordingly and calm yourself down. Well, I think it'd be a great idea. You know what I mean? Looking forward to, I'm being real professional. By this time, we had did so many interviews. with so many different radio stations and stuff, that I'm skilled at the art of interviews. So to me, I just handle it kind of like, like you would that, answer the question, don't elaborate too much, but like, I can, and I said something like, I would love to be here though. I would love to be at Atlantic. You the head of Atlantic? Oh my God, I can just imagine. I'm doing the charm thing. Next thing I know, couple of weeks later, next thing I know, they say, hey, we got the deal with Sylvia. She's gonna sign us.
Wow.
So that's how we got on that. And I'll never forget her for that. Like I said, the conversations. And when I was actually there, she treated all of us, me and Vogue, and she was very professional, man, very, very professional, and very kind. But she was hardcore when it came to business. But as you as a person, she'd actually, like, the minute when my single went number one, when So You Like What You See went number one, she called me at home that morning. And I'll never forget. I was like, hello. She's like, hey, Sam. I was like, Sylvia? She's like, yeah. She's like, how does it feel to have a number one single? I said, well, you know what, Sylvia? I've had number one singles before, but this is different. I said, this is me. This is Samuelle, not Club Nouveau. This is Samuelle speaking. I said, so this is different. This is special. She said, well, I told you. And she did. Because she came personally. When we were recording at Can-Am Studios, my album, she came personally to the studio to listen. They have a listening thing. Mm-hmm. Usually they send the A&R people and stuff like that, right? But she came herself. I was like, Sylvia came. And they're just playing song after song. She's like, oh, that's nice. She's listening. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. And as soon as we got to So You Like What You See, she went, hey, now we talking.
Wow.
And when it came on, every day now, I can feel you watching me. She said, that's it. I don't need to hear anything else. That's the number one single of the summer.
Wow.
That's what she said. That fast. She didn't even listen to So You Like What You See. She didn't even get to that far. She heard the first part of the verse and that groove, that New Jack kind of groove. And she said, that's it. Sam, get ready for a number one single. She says, as a matter of fact, as soon as you guys get me this right away, because I'm going to call Teddy Riley and have him put a mix on this thing.
What?
Yeah. Again, that's why I say I have no horror stories about the industry. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll be talking and my wife will talk about stuff and, we hear all the different stories of different artists and stuff like that. And you're watching them on Unsung and all these different programs and you hear them on podcasts. And I look at it and she just looks at me and I go, babe, I've been blessed. I said, because I have no horror stories. You know what I mean? It's just like, it was one blessing after, you know what I mean? And you don't see it when you're in it, but you see it when, you look back now, you go, wow, that was the Michael Jordan finish, of games. You know what I mean? It's just like you go in, you do this, you finally get to go sit in on interviews or, where they're pitching ideas to labels. And the one you go to is the one that they get. You know what I mean? It's like with the most powerful woman at that time in music. And then you go, she comes to listen to party, she's listening to tracks. And the first track that you're actually writing is the one she picks for the single.
Okay, so this is that you getting your hands into writing stuff.
This is the one. See, before I would add stuff, but when you're a vocalist, you're in the studio, you're just doing what you do. You're being
ad-libbing, yeah.
This is the time that I was like, hey man, I need to sit down on pen and paper and write some stuff. I want to do this because that song actually was not for my album. Okay. A quick story. We were in the studio, and Tommy was out that day. He was sick. He wasn't feeling well. And we're over at Fantasy Studios, Denny and myself. And we were doing, so I can't remember, we had a little downtime. I think we were eating lunch or something. So while we're eating lunch, he goes up and he pulls up a track. Back then you had to go put the big, the two big 2-inch reels on the thing. It wasn't like now. You had to go get the tape, and stick it on there. It wasn't like now where we got all these, stuff now. Like, so he put it up and we're sitting there, we eating. And all of a sudden I heard do 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 do. I heard that beat and I said, man, I'm thinking it's for me. Right. So I don't think I said, oh, this one's gonna be nice, right? So I started moving my head. And he said, hey, before you start eating, do me a favor. I said, what's that? He said, go in the vocal booth and say, Delight. Right. So I said, just Delight? He said, yeah. Right. Do. I said, tell me where you want it. He said, just find a pocket. That's right here. delight, dun, 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 delight. So we stack the vocals, make them all smooth and pretty. And I come in, I go, Bear, what we gonna write on this? What's this one gonna be about? I need to write on this one. He said, oh, this one's not for you. And I said, who's this for? He said, it's for MC Light. Because they were working on the project for MC Light. And that's why he had me saying, delight. And I'm like, oh, hell no. We're in here on my studio time. I know we're on lunch. I said, that song is going on my album. He said, well, what you gonna sing to it? I said, give me 15 minutes. Damn lunch. I sit down, play it. Just loop it. And that's when I went in there, and a friend of mine, and me and him had just said, I said, you know what? That's my new saying right now. I said, what's that? I'm gonna give it the program. You know what I mean? Because, we have so many friends making wrong decisions. Some going to school, some doing right, some want to be dope dealers, some want to do all this stuff. And that became my thing. I was like, you know what, man? Give it the program. Give it the pro. So I told him, I said, you wait till I get a chance. I'll put that on the song. And I swear, 2 days later, this is happening. So I tell you what, give me 15 minutes. He said, okay. 15 minutes is up. I said, all right, go ahead, roll it. So I just went in the studio. I said, I'm going to stack these, so don't trip. So just went in there. I said, give it the program. Give it the program. And I said, stack it. I'm going to stack it 4 times. So he stacked it. He said, okay. And I said, so just loop them in real quick. So, back then you had to put them in the sampler and just, next thing you know, he said, so what you going to sing though? So I said, this was easy back then. You know what I mean? I was still a single man, So I said, okay, let me just, so I just went, every day now, I can feel you watching me from afar. And you've been leaving those love letters on my car every day. He's like, oh, hold on. And I said, yeah, I'm going to put harmonies on that other part right there and this and this. He said, well, what the hook going to be? I said, get there. And I went, so you like what you see? Hey, yeah, you better put a hold on me. So you like what you see? Oh, yeah. And he was like, all right, you got it. And that's how that song came about.
So you wrote in 15 minutes. You wrote basically a song.
Not the whole thing, just the first verse hook.
Well, listen, you've got a song there that's lasted, like we say, 35, 40 years, because that record still gets played today.
Yes, it does.
Any New Jack Swing compilation that comes out, that song has to be considered. As a classic. I feel that I think what separated it from a lot of other, and there was quite a few big New Jack tracks at the time that had bass lines in them, but they didn't seem to have a lot of bass. New Jack production. It's more about the drums and other things. But I think Foster McElroy mastered bass, and it's so attention grabbing. Like you say, the way that track starts, boom, din, 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 it just get like Sylvia Rome spotted it straight away.
Yeah, she spotted it.
To go on to put a song like that on top of it, I mean, it's a great song as well as it's just a great song as well.
Thank you, I appreciate it, man. But it's like I said, till this day, I perform the Teddy Riley mix because it's faster.
Are you serious? I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, it's faster, and it has a intro, and it's like 6 different versions. That's the funny part. He did a house mix that I'm sure you guys would love. Dude, I'm telling you, if you go find the Teddy Riley, it's like you'll see. It's like 6 different.
They're all mixes. The promos. There's a promo 12 of them all. They got all the mixes on.
Okay, yeah.
And on there.
You go, oh, I like this one. Oh, yeah, I like this one. Yeah. So Teddy, I ain't gonna lie, Teddy earned his money on that one, man, because he got a house mix. He got a house mix that I didn't even know, because I never really tripped on it at first until I went somewhere and I heard that, and I was like, boy, that almost sound like. I said, boy, that is. And the DJ said, watch the dance floor when I put you on. I thought he was just gonna play the version that I'm used to, the one that got that. Dun, dun. It starts like that, then it is. It's real funky, right? It was a whole different version. I'm thinking like, did you do that? He said, no, that's Teddy Riley. He did that. I was like, it was a mix I hadn't even listened to, man, in that dance floor, because it was more of a college crowd back then. That dance floor was full. And I was like, he said, that's why I wanted you to see. I didn't want you to think I was just blowing smoke up you, but he said, I wanted you to see what happens when this song comes on. And I was like, wow. So yeah, in that moment, I was under pressure to go claim something. And
Wow.
here we are. It'll be what, 35 years, 2025?
Yeah. But it was an
2025?
international hit as well, because I was in Nigeria when that came out. So it's a global hit. And I guess sometimes it's easy for you to see it being big in the US and not realize the impact it was having around the world. Did you have any sense? Did they tell you about that?
I went over it was 93 or something like that, 94, 93, 90, something like that. I went over and did New Year's Eve at Brixton in London. Brixton Palace, is that the name of it? Brixton Palace.
There was Brixton Academy back here.
Brixton. Okay, yeah. I came over and did New Year's Eve with Soul to Soul.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's when I knew, whoa, it's big over here. And then I have friends from Nigeria, and they always tell me, I'll never forget when we used to go. They used to go from Nigeria to London and all these different places. We would get in the nightclubs and your song would come on, and because when we became friends, and we've been friends for years now, she always brings that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in Nigeria.
Okay.
I've been to
Lagos
and Lagos and Lekki. How you pronounce it? Lekki or Lekki?
Lekki.
Lekki. Yeah, Lagos and Lekki. Yeah, I've been out there, and that was not too long ago. And I was thinking, like, yeah, okay, yeah, I love look. I've been to Nigerian party. You're from Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
I've been to take this back. Steve, have you ever been to a Nigerian funeral?
A funeral or party?
A funeral.
Yeah. Have you been to a Nigerian funeral, Steve?
No.
Steve, they're not like our funerals, Steve. A Nigerian funeral is a celebration, Steve.
I can imagine.
It's almost like when we have a Super Bowl party. That's what it's like. We thinking, me and my wife go, okay, we're going to a funeral, babe. You got your funeral mindset on, right?
Yeah.
Like so we go to the service and we go, wow, that's beautiful. Blah, blah, blah. Then they say, okay, now we're going to go over they rent out the big place. We have never danced so much in our lives. You go, is it a funeral? He said, "This my Obi and Eman Dunchuku." He said, Samuelle, we celebrate life of the person. There will be no boo-hoo in. He said, they celebrate the life. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I guess so. The guy had about 8 kids, and each one of them, they were surgeons, they were engineers, and because he gave up everything he had to education is so big with Nigerians. That is, and he always tells me, the people of color in America are lazy. Black people in America are lazy. You guys have all this education available to you, and you guys want to be basketball players and all this stuff. And he's right. He's right. You don't see it until you see it through other people, and you start thinking, like, you can only do some of those other things for 5 years. And almost every Nigerian friend that I have that will do anything for you, they always invite us everywhere. You want to go here? Don't worry about it. We got you. We'll put, they'll fly you. But okay, you want to come to the family? Just tell us when. We'll get the ticket. Because they're mostly, I'd say 95% of them have busted their ASSs in school and universities and graduates. They're all successful. And I don't mean the kind of successful where it's like, just shallow. No, it's not bragging success. It's just that they're doing well. And I go, and they always tell us, you guys, we don't have these opportunities in Nigeria. It's available to you guys, but we don't use it because, you see what I'm saying? It's almost like until you don't know what you have, but they're here and we get invited to all these functions, man, and best times we've had. Times we've had.
It's definitely a cultural thing about education and
let's not talk about the airport though.
No.
Never go to the airport in is it Lagos?
Lagos, yeah.
Never go to the airport in Lagos, Steve. Never, ever, Steve. Steve, I have never been so shell-shocked in my life to know that it's packed. I mean, it's packed. It looks like an evacuation, but it's just a regular day, Steve. It's just a regular day. Because, people are always flying in and flying out. It's not real big. But, Steve, I've never seen people in line for tickets that can argue with the ticket people from 10 rows back. Steve, they're yelling, Steve, hey boy, and I'm going, oh shit, something's going down. And then the person over here starts yelling, you stupid boy, you lazy, who are you talking to me? And I'm thinking like, oh shit, the police gonna come in here in a minute. Everybody's in there arguing, and it's normal.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, it's Nigerians. Steve, I'm in there paranoid thinking like, we do this in the States. The police coming, Steve. They about to drag you out of there, right? Everybody can just say what they want to say.
Yeah.
And then the guy tells me, after they get up there, I'm thinking they're getting ready to fist fight. You know what the lady says? They're family, they're cousins. I'm paranoid thinking we about to have a takeover in the airport, and two cousins are sounding like worst enemies in there. And I said, oh my, he said, and my friend told me, he said, I told you, there's no experience like Nigeria.
Nigerians are practice. We're aggressive in all we do. He's got some Steve's got some Nigerian friends in Manchester.
Okay,
so
very aggressive, man.
He actually does an Afrobeat show. So he's used to he's a DJ with does both R&B shows, and he does Afrobeat as well. So he's still.
I'm getting ready to work on some Afrobeat stuff, Steve. So I would love to get some of your feedback.
Totally, we'll wait on that, definitely.
Yes, he definitely has that. The just before we move on, when you think about your debut album, then when it came out and you've got the big single, are you then thinking, okay, I'm going to go remain solo? But because the industry shifted pretty quickly, because especially the sounds changed, and Danny and Tommy were very busy with En Vogue. How did you get caught up in things?
It was because En Vogue, so they put En Vogue out first. Originally, I was going to go out first, but Denny was just gun-ho set on, he had his heart really set on doing the girls because it's something he's never done. You know what I mean? And when your creativity comes to you, you gotta use it when it comes to you. And he had all these ideas and stuff. So I get it. At the time, I was like, man, I'm supposed to go out first, blah, blah. But I'm like, okay, whatever, And I understood because I would come to the studio and stuff like that. And the girls would get hung up on certain parts sometimes because they were new in the studio at that time. Mm-hmm. And they'd be like, Sam, I don't have no ideas for no ad-libs. Could you help me with ideas and ad-libs and stuff like that? So we were all, we were like one big family, So, I would do stuff like that for them. And when they came out and got super, I knew they were going to be successful. When I heard the songs and seen the way they were putting it together, I said, man, you have no way. You can't deny what they're doing. And again, at that time, that's when those bass and big bass sounds and they've always put vocals high on the map. They never thought, oh, don't worry about the vocals. The track, they've always put just as much into the vocals as they do the tracks. So I knew the blend would work. So when my stuff came out and it went like that, my only thing was I knew I only had one style of song. I knew I only had one song on my album like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, that was my worry. I was like, ooh, I got some other cool songs on there, like All That Matters to Me and Take My Heart that I did with two members of En Vogue, Dawn and Terry. And Black Paradise was cool to me, but it was like I had no more. Even Greedy Man was fine, but I had no more songs like So You Like What You See. You know what I mean? And I wanted to go back in the studio and record something else. And I started thinking, I said, you know why there's no more songs like that? It's because that's the only song I got a chance to really be myself on, writing my thoughts, my feelings, my arrangements on. And I knew that going out, I was going like, ooh, I need another song that complements this one. You know what I mean? But to answer your question, because they were so busy, because of the success of En Vogue, and then the success of my single, and now Tony, remember they did Tony's first project too.
Yeah.
They had so much stuff going on at that time, we didn't get a chance to go back in and do anything else that would have complemented So You Like What You See.
Wow.
You know what? There is a track on your album that I think should have been a single. Mm-hmm. It's near the end. It's called Circle of Love.
Yeah, Circle of Love. I wrote on that one too. Circle of Love. That's another one I got a chance to write on. A friend of mine is a DJ out here, and he tells me he always plays that. He said I play that Circle of Love, He said, I play that all the time, man. That should have been released. Because for me, I thought at the time, I said, if we're not going back in the studio, I thought Greedy Man should have came right after So You Like What You See. Because Greedy Man was real up-tempo. I don't know if you guys heard Greedy Man, but it's on that, but it's just so up-tempo, and it's still on that same vein. You know what I mean? It's almost like dun, 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 dun. You know, was that class?
Was that
classic.
the third single? Was that because I know Black Paradise came out, and then there was a promo for Greedy Man. I'm sure there's a promo for it.
I think there was. I don't know if they ever released it. I think they released All That Matters. I can't remember which one. You know, but I just know I wanted that one second. If we weren't going to do a new song, I wanted that one second, because when I was out on the road, it would have allowed me to stay in that same vein. You know what I mean? That same up-tempo thing. And I said, if we slow it down, we need to do Stay With Me. Because Stay With Me it's a beautiful ballad that was on that album. Mm-hmm. And I go, if we're going to slow it down, because to me, Black Paradise was in between. You know, it was a cool song, but it was, as a performer, you come out and you doing all that up-tempo, you know, so you like, give it the pro. It's hard to go, there I was, doom, 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 sitting alone. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was totally two different kind of vibes. I was like, I think if I did Greedy Man, I could have did Greedy Man, and then So You Like What You See. You know what I mean? It would have stayed, it would have kept me in that energetic kind of like zone. Yeah. But to slow it down, it could have been Circle of Love or Stay With Me. You know what I mean? Those would have been, I think, if we would have ever got around to doing Take My Heart as a video, I think that would have blown up too, because I'm doing it with Dawn from In Vogue and Terry.
But then who's A&R in your project then? Is it, are you getting involved
No, at A&R back then, Sylvia had, who was it? I think it was David Vance or somebody. I think David Vance was, but again, because Sylvia had so much going on at that time. See, this is what you learn about record labels. She had In Vogue. She had me, Gerald Levert, Kwame,
Keith Sweat,
all at the same time. You know what I mean? It's just almost like all of her artists' songs were going up, beating her other artists' songs. You know what I mean? Like mine jumped up across to go number one. Mine went up past Keith Sweat and In Vogue and everything to go number one. So it was just like her artists were just doing this, you know, the music. So it was hard because I told her, I said, Sylvia, I want to do this. And she's like, okay, blah, blah. But when you start realizing inner workings, how stuff go, man, it's, you know what I mean? And they map stuff out months at a time. It's like, if you don't make that, you know, when they have those meetings, if you don't make that, okay, I need everybody on Sam's stuff, right? If you don't get that call, you don't make it. Then it has to wait for a whole nother cycle. Wow. You know what I mean? It's like, now you got to wait 3 more months. You know what I mean? It just goes in cycles. It goes in quarters. Just like, you know, pay periods, it goes in quarters where they got stuff set. They got a calendar set for promo, radio, in stores back then. You know, wasn't no Zoom calls back then. Bomb and pops and all that. And it, you know, and it was, you get lost up. You know what I mean? Because like I said, you know, Gerald and them was climbing the ladder. He had some of his artists out. I forgot the
Rude Boys.
Written all over, yeah.
All
that,
Boys.
you know what I mean? That's
yeah.
Everything was taken off of it. And remember, she was over Atlantic, Warner, and Elektra. Remember, it was WIA. They formed that coalition.
Yeah,
she was the head of all of it, so she had quite a bit going on from the time.
And In Vogue would really, you know, and that was one of the biggest girl groups at the time.
Yes. So it really kind of overshadowed everything, and and you know, so it's just like if you missed that first shuffle, you know what I mean? It's like,
then what do you do then as an artist when all this is happening? So what's happening to you then when everyone is blowing up around you, Danny and Tommy getting a production deal, In Vogue's are blowing up, and you then?
Yeah. Well, once I blew up and did my single, I was fine. I was working a long time off of that, and then the industry started changing quite a bit. You know, hip hop really started kicking in quite a bit, and I started being involved, talking to different artists and stuff, and they wanted me to come in and do some stuff. At the time, they wanted me to do kind of like Nate Dogg stuff. You know how Nate Dogg singing hooks on a lot of different. And at first I was like, oh, I can do that. You know, that'll keep me out there, keep me relevant and stuff. And then I started paying attention to what they was rapping about.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't think I can come back from that. You know what I mean? It's just like, That's not the image I'm trying to portray. And people say, man, but they pay big money for them hooks and stuff. I said, yeah, but just like Mike Marshall when he did, I got 5 on it. I mean, you almost know him more for that now than Rumors, right?
Oh,
and
so that was him?
That's Mike Marshall doing, I got 5 on
yeah,
it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I didn't realize.
Let's get key. Yeah. But see, that's him. That's actually his lifestyle. Mike Marshall, I love him to death. Like I said, we're talking about doing some stuff together. But he's into the medicinal marijuana and all. You know what I mean? That's his life. You know, and that's
okay.
Yeah. So for me, a lot of the hooks, like Nate Dogg and them, was like, I would love to go do some of those hooks because I had all these ideas, and some of these producers was like, man, oh wow, well, if we get you on the hook doing that, I can get this rapper doing. But rappers back then was like hardcore. They was talking about, VIs and hoes and pimping and all that. I was like, that's not my MO. So I ended up stepping back, and then my daughter was born. So I was like, I want to be a present dad. Okay, so people said, just go to LA on the weekends. I said, man, you can't just go to LA on the weekends. You got to be out there, and until I'm working. And I've seen a lot of people go out there and get just lost up, just trying to. I said, let me step back. I'm fine. I'll be fine for I wasn't broke or anything like that, so I was fine. So I was a dad for a lot of years. My daughter's grown now, so I can enjoy. You know what I mean? I can enjoy this thing, now. She's grown, and I'm glad I was present because music had taken a whole big. It was R&B almost disappeared, didn't it? It was just all hip hop for a minute.
Yeah, but did you miss it though? When you were stepping away and seeing how things in Vogue were, Funky Divas, they became the biggest group out there winning awards. Were you not thinking?
I don't know. I've never been kind of like a real vain person and thinking that I needed trophies. I mean, we got platinum and gold records and stuff before, but they're just plaques. You know what I mean? To miss singing because I've always been a singer, so I was, I can sing anywhere. I can sing in church. I can go sing in a lounge. I can sing anywhere. And so the vanity of it didn't bother me because people kept saying, man, but they're out there doing this and this and this and this and this. I said, yeah, but I know them. They're not, they're doing well, but they're not, their lives are not great because they're out there performing and on tours and everything. No. You know what I mean? Maxine and Dawn left. You know what I mean? They all broke up for one moment and then, you know what I mean? So it's like people grow. They go through these changes. I've never been envious of someone else's success. I applaud them for their success. Super talented. Those girls have always been super talented. I wish them nothing but the best. But as long as I'm able to breathe, as long as I'm able to sing and do my music, I'm just going to keep doing it at whatever level that I do it at, sing for the Lord. Singing, loud. Like I said, I kept my music clean, so I don't have to worry about people saying, "How are you gonna sing about that?" Then gonna sing about that. You know what I mean? I keep my topics real, and when you love something, man, I think the only thing is when you're not able to do it anymore. So when you think of athletes, the Deion Sanders, the Jerry, those guys wish they could have probably played football for their whole lives, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They loved it that much, but the bodies won't let them.
Yeah.
When it comes to singing. If you take care of your gift, if you take care of your voice, I don't drink and smoke and stuff like that. So I can still sing, and God bless me with that. It's almost like the time away to be a father and a husband and things like that. It's almost like it preserved me. When I go sing now, people say, wow, man. Because, then I hear some of the people that I love. I'm like, oh man, I want to see them sing. And you sing, whoa, what happened? They never took a break. You know what I mean? They've been living that singer's lifestyle since the 70s or the 80s. They never taken a break. Now they all had throat surgeries and all, you know what I mean? They can't even do the basics anymore. They're out there and you're feeling bad for them. You know what I mean? You're like, ooh, painful. You know what I mean? You go, and so I think, I've been preserved for a time like this. Soul music is back. I don't really call it R&B. I call it soul music, but soul music is back. I get a chance to go out and perform the hits, whether it be Club Nouveau, Samuelle's greatest hits, whether it be Club Nouveau, Val and I, those hits. I get to do mine. I got new music that I'm working on. Did you check out the new music I sent you?
Yes, and but yeah, and that's what we're going to come to. But just before we got into the new music, go ahead.
Before we get on to, can I just ask some New Jack related questions before we go too far forward? Okay. I was listening to, if you can see that on the camera, Black Paradise today.
Yeah.
The actual song Black Paradise, there's a bit in it where it breaks down to the drums and the groove. There was a remix Foster McElroy did. It might have been about a year later for Ralph Tresvant called Stone Cold Gentleman. Do you remember that remix?
For Stone Cold Gentleman?
Yeah, it's about a 6-minute long mix. It's literally the same drum program and almost bass line of Black Paradise.
Really?
Yeah. That's when I heard it.
And who's that? Ralph Tresvant
reminded
did
me of that remix. But secondly, obviously, the Foster McElroy album, which he did a track on.
Yeah.
Can you remember that track on there? Doing that track
on FM Squared. Yeah,
make you feel. I want to make you feel real good.
Yeah, I wanna. Yeah. That was Kyrie did that song. Kyrie produced that one. I want to make you feel real good. Yeah, I still. Who was that? Someone sent me that. It's like, man, I didn't know this was you. And I was like, I thought the voice sounded, but yeah, I loved. That was fun. It was fun to record that song because it gave me a chance to kind of touch into a more of a smooth kind of sensual vocal style, versus the ones where, you're kind of like talk singing and things like that. Because it's funny, the songs I've been known for is dance tunes, but I always grew up singing ballads. You know what I mean? Again, it's just like what you sing is not necessarily what's going to make you most successful, right? But now, at the age I'm at now and the time I'm in right now, people want to hear good singing again. People want to hear, they want you to make them dance or whatever. But people, like I said, again, when you listen to certain vocalists, the Adeles and some of the other people love singing still. You just, you know what I mean? You just got to sing about the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to put it together the right way. You know what I mean? And sing about it. The Beatles and them still playing. You still listen to those songs right now, man. You go, wait a minute, how long ago was that? That was the 60s. That was the 50s and 60s. So it's just what your subject matter is and the way you put it together. But if you sing from the heart, things from the heart seem like they last a lot longer than you just singing for something that's going to be hot for a moment.
Yeah. There was a group as well. Finally, one last question. There was a group, they released an album which seemed to have fell off the edge of a cliff that I'm looking at the credits, it's got your name on it. If the New Jack fans can find this album, The Nation Funktasia, I think you kind of referred to it earlier.
That's the one with
this group.
Yeah, that was Kool-Aid, Ink Pen. I can't think of the other. E-Theory, Kool-Aid, Ink Pen, and I can't think of, was it Bobby in that band? It was another. It was one girl. Yeah, but that was the Funky Nation, whatever. That was the group that I told you that Foster McElroy was shopping along with In Vogue, myself, and them. They had some real different, kind of funky stuff, but I guess at that time, remember, hip hop took over, and it was just that it would have taken, somebody would have had to have taken that and just really just worked it. But at that time, even George Clinton and them wasn't as big as they came back to be. Because for some reason, hip hop just took over, and it was just like all they wanted to hear was NWA. You know what I mean? That's when the New York and West Coast, East Coast and West Coast rap scene had just took over, and then all of a sudden Down South kicked in, and everybody just wanted just beat them up, shoot them up, nice beats, and just rap. Kind of took over for a long time. So that kind of helped me with that. Oh yeah, I couldn't have been out there right now. No way. You know what I mean? Because it was just like, nobody was, concerts weren't only time you saw concerts if they were overseas, of course, in the UK or for vocalists, or in Aruba somewhere doing, one of those big old festivals or something like that. It wasn't a lot of work here for R&B singers during that hip hop takeover.
Oh yeah. I mean,
it just remained a mystery to me, this group. They had a couple of singles out, Anti-Funky World and Move Me, but they just obviously Atlantic just didn't bother promoting them by the looks of it.
Yeah.
With everything else going on.
Yeah, I think they got so busy with everything else. I think that would have taken, like I said, someone would have to personally have undertaken it and just really believed in it and ran with it. At that time, like with Tony's success that they did, In Vogue, my stuff, and some of the other things they were taking on. They were doing the theme song for Video Soul at the time. You know what I mean? It was a lot. They were undertaking quite a bit. And then, of course, Sylvia and them at the time, with all the other artists they had that were super big at that time, everybody kind of blew up. Like I said, I don't think they had anybody that was willing to go, okay, I'll take it. Because, you got to have somebody that'll take it and just work it. You know what I mean? You got to have an A&R person got to go, I believe in this. I'm going to work on this night. Along with my other stuff, I'm going to make this happen too. Because that's what it takes. And I don't think anybody took the time to do that.
It's a shame, really. It did have its moments, that album.
Yeah, it was some nice stuff on there. You know what I mean? Some nice stuff on there. And you still have it. Wow. I don't even have one. You know what I mean? Because those are the songs you want to hear now. You know what I mean? You've been like, man, I forgot about that. Oh man, I forgot about, you know what I mean? Because right now, I'm sure if somebody had that, they'd probably go, man, this is funky right here. What is this? You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to tell Tommy about this conversation. I'm gonna say, Tom, you still got that stuff from the Funky Nation? You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell him to get it to me, because you can find radio that'll play. You know what I mean? Tell him, hey, man, you need to send that out to iHeartRadio or one of these podcast radio stations that be playing.
It's probably not even on streaming at all. It should be on Spotify.
It's all streaming.
It's not even there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That kind of stuff it's a missed opportunity now, especially. Because there's an audience for everything now. And now audiences can find you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Audience type in what kind of music they're listening for. They say funk, they're going to see it. Well, I've never seen that before. Boop. Sometimes you might, could you imagine it take over as the number one, a couple of songs becomes a number one stream song? You know what I mean? You never know what you're missing. So I'm definitely going to tell them. I'm going to tell them to make that available. Yeah, you got to make that available. I know we get busy, but you got to make that kind of stuff available.
Did you think at that time then, because the crew were hot, about let's quickly get back to the studio and go through the recipe we had with So You Like What You See on the second album, or could you just tell that, look, things are focused and you might be in a back burner for a while, and decide,
we did
give space?
We did a second album. We did some nice tunes, actually. All That Matters was one that was on there. It was in the Money Train soundtrack. On the Money Train, it was in the Money Train movie. It wasn't on the soundtrack, but it was in the movie. All That Matters to Me. It was in that bar scene where you see Wesley Snipes with Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah,
you hear it you hear it briefly in there. It does well. Whenever I go perform that, it does well. But we did a few songs, like about 7, 8 songs. Yeah, about 7, 8, maybe. It's just that when we were getting ready to go back in and get ready for the promo, pick a single and all that kind of stuff, my question to the label was, once we pick a single, are you guys going to promote it, or are we just going to release it and then just kind of go, if it does pick up steam on its own, maybe it's not happening, move to the next one? Because, they do those 2 or 3 album deals basically after, and nobody can give an answer. Nobody said, oh man, we're going to pick this one and we're going to work it. And I said, okay. And I can't remember. I think what single? I think maybe we were picking All That Matters to Me. And I had some ideas about how we should do it, right? And I was like, okay, so am I going to be able to talk to somebody on, some of the ideas I have? Maybe they can implement them, maybe not. But they never could. They never kind of came around to it. So at that time, I kind of said to myself, I could see it's getting kind of busy over there. They're really looking for stuff that's kind of going to take off on its own right now, and then they can just step in and assist it. They really weren't gung-ho on just trying to build at that time. So that's when I told David Lombard, who was managing me at the time, I said, Dave, look, I'm at the point now where I just don't want to be on a label, just say I'm on a label. I said, so if you can go talk to some people and see where they're at with the situation and see if they have any ideas, are they thinking about, trying to, get me back to where we were, or either bigger than what we were, or if it's just going to fall by the wayside, I'd rather not be there. I said, because if I'm there, that means I can't be anywhere else. Because, when you're on a label, you can't work with nobody else. You got to get their permission to do anything. So he said, so what you saying? I said, well, basically, if somebody doesn't say that, we got Sam, we're going to do this, we're going to blah, 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 blah. We got plans. I said, other than that, you just tell them, okay, well, you guys don't have time. Why don't you just release us? So I asked for a release if that was the case. So took about a year and a half or so like that. But then finally we got a release because I was just like, I told Sylvia, I said, I love you, but I said, but I get it. It's a business. You know what I mean? I get it. I said, because when my single was at its height, when So You Like What You See was like #1 everywhere, when you couldn't go anywhere without hearing it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and I was going to the in stores, the record stores. You know how you go in and your product is supposed to be there because the record label set it up. Your A&R person set it up for you to be there. I went to about 10 stores in about 2 or 3 days, and none of them had my product.
Wow.
I mean, lines all out the door. So now I'm sitting there, they give you the Sharpies, the sign stuff, and you're in there, no photos, no CDs, and all these stores and the label, and the stores are just like nervous. What are we gonna do? They're gonna tear my place apart. You know what I mean? We don't have no product. We ain't got, no pictures. They thinking we bringing it. And my manager's like, what do you mean? Why would we bring it? The label's supposed to, Atlantic, whoever was over at it, I forgot the guy's name. He was supposed to have it there. So when we got there, and he told my manager, yeah, it'll be there. Don't worry. When y'all get there, everything. We went to like 10 different in stores, some of the big stores, some of the mom and pop stores. And that's when I knew, I said, okay, everything comes. You know what I mean? I said, this is how it happens. You go, you got lines outside the door, you miss. And the record label told me, not you personally, he said, but whoever's in charge of your promotion, they just missed a major opportunity. Because every store I would go to say, when these people get behind you, they stay fans for life, supporters for life. But when you come in, don't have nothing for them, and then they got to go out and say, oh, okay, sorry, we got to, you know what I mean? People, they didn't want you to come in and just sign and they mad now because they missed out on a bunch of money because they had no product to sell, but they got a line out the door because they've been promoting it all week, you know what I mean? Or 2 weeks in advance. So I said, wow. And then I'll never forget when I went to Rick Dees. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rick Dees. He was the head of the pop station in KISS in LA, the #1 pop station. And he had a television show, came on TV. It was Rick Dees. I went on there and I was performing. And Rick Dees was like, he's like, man, Sam, I love this song. Man, I play this song. He's a white guy. He's like, man, I play this song all the time. He was the biggest pop guy on the West Coast. And in between the break for the commercial for the television break, he goes, I love this song. My daughters love this song. He says, who's in charge of your pop? Who's in charge of your pop relations over there at Atlantic? And I said, it's fine. I don't know who's in charge. I can ask my manager. He says, well, tell them in these words. He said, tell them that they're fucking up. This is what he said in between the commercial breaks. We're on live television, right? And I go, really? He says, yeah. He says, I've been trying to get this for 4 months. He's been trying to get it he's been trying to get my stuff so he can put it on pop radio. And he had the #1 pop radio station for 4 months, and nobody would get back to him, and nobody would get it to him. No. I went #1 on just the R&B. He's #1 pop. Could you imagine? We're talking about this song now. Had he got it when he wanted it, this would have been the pops. You know what I mean? This would have now been, I'm on the American Music. You know what I mean? Now I'm on the Grammys for the #1 best single. And that's when I knew then. I said, you get but one time to do that too. You know what I mean? That's when I knew. I said, it's some kinks in the armor there. So it didn't bother me to go, hey, if y'all not serious, because to know that you dropped the ball when I had a #1 song, and now we trying to build another #1 song, I don't think they, at that time, I don't think they had the personnel to do it. And it's
interesting because we interviewed, Angie, because she was signed to Atlantic around the same time as you. She was married to Eddie Irons. Angie, she's married to Eddie Irons, who was part of the group Brick, the funk group Brick.
Yeah, Brick, yeah.
Well, Angie, she was signed to Atlantic at the same time as you. She had 2 albums out, and she was telling similar stories about the label as what you're saying now, in terms of promotion and turning up to stores and doing the same issues,
Yeah,
exactly the same issues.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's crazy. That's funny you mentioned Brick because I had a friend of mine. Does she manage Brick?
No, Angie's she's married to Eddie Irons, who was in the group Brick.
Who's part of? Oh, he's in Brick. Okay, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not unheard of. That's what I said. It's not unheard of. If you talk to a lot of people, they'll tell you, well, you go, what happened, man? And they'll tell you some of the similar stuff. I said they got overwhelmed, they got too much going on, and for them, when labels brought in so much money, you just become a write-off after a while. You know what I mean?
Mm.
They almost look for you to be self-sufficient, or they look for you to be so super successful where they are forced to be on top of you. They get to the point where they only work with the artist that's pretty much in autopilot. You know what I mean? It's from a business standpoint, they want to go take the path of least resistance. And labels started getting pretty lazy because they didn't really want to do the groundwork anymore.
Yeah.
Like now, I tell people, they talk about a deal. I was like, a deal? Labels still signing people? I said, because right now, if you talk to anybody, they're going to say, how many Instagram followers you got? How many? All they want to know about is if you got 13 million people on Instagram or something. Even then, they're like, oh, well, let's get your TikTok ads up, and then we can talk. They ain't giving out no deals. No more. You know what I mean? It's like, man, yeah. So I just think about it. I said I came in music at a beautiful time when deals are still deals, labels are still labels, and now we're in a time where it's independent, which is beautiful. Only thing about it now, you got to do the work.
But what made you decide this was the time to come back out, with your own track?
Well, I never really stopped. I ain't been back, See, I always had Club Nouveau. Like, I came back and started touring with Club Nouveau like 2010. So in 2010, from 2010 up until like 2019, we're out all the time doing shows, all
who
over
are you?
the
Were you with them back with Jay and Valerie?
Yeah, it was just me, Jay, and Val.
Okay.
I came back in 2010, and we were going out doing shows for all those years until 2019, and then it was just like, you start thinking of stuff like, then you have some of the internal stuff where Jay had one idea for Club Nouveau, Val and I have another idea, for Club Nouveau. We want to grow it. He wanted to just keep it the way it was, which is fine because it's not really, it's not, performing and singing is not really his suit. He's a businessman. Mm. Val and I are singer performers, you know what I mean? And so we had differences of how we wanted to proceed. And that's why we have now, Val and I are the voices of Club Nouveau, and he goes out sometimes with some different, like another girl and a guy as Club Nouveau sometimes.
Okay.
But, it's just one of those, it happens, you got 3 climaxes. You got to, I'm sure you probably interview people, say, which climax you get? You got the one with Cheryl Cooley, or you got the one with, Brenda? You know what I mean? So, it can happen. You just do what you do, man. Like I said, I love music. Music is part of me. So I'll always, especially now, the way they made music so easy, accessible, where you can put out music and just target your fan base, or they'll find you, however it goes. I'm probably going to record for life something, you know what I mean? I just love music. I love writing for other people, I'm doing different stuff, working on projects, helping people do vocal arrangements, but I have to, like right now, I'm enjoying I'm doing some stuff for Samuelle again. I'm enjoying that process,
Okay.
So I'm going to be going out doing shows. I've been over there. What was that? When was I over there? Last year? I think I was over there last year with I can tell you exactly when I was over there. It was who was I? Let's see. I was over there last year doing in London.
Okay.
Well, Courtney, Courtney Margerson?
No.
Oh, okay. I was over there with Courtney Margerson. He does a lot. He brings artists over to do shows. He's doing a birthday thing in December. I didn't feel like flying over in December.
Okay, Mr. Sophisticated?
Yeah, Mr. Sophisticated, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He had brought me over, and then I met all the DJs. You guys got some.
Okay.
Swaby, I met all the Swaby boys.
Okay.
And yeah. Got a lot of DJs. You guys, DJs are the stars there.
Yeah.
The artists are just help. The DJs are
Yeah, the DJs are
yeah. They are the NBA stars. They're the athletes. They're everything.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. It's Mr. Sophisticated. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uncle
okay. Yeah, got a few people coming out and okay. What
Yeah, he's influenced. Yeah.
um how did so you reunited with Jay and Valerie, but you still cool with Denny and Tommy, so there's no sort of civil war.
Not with like me and Val just we just branched off from Jay. So Tommy and Denny, still friends. Me and Tommy still work in the studio to this day. We're working on. He's helping me do some of my solo stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
Denny has been managing producers and stuff like that out toward Southern California. And Val and I, she's working on some solo stuff. I'm doing stuff. We're still doing the voices together. Jay is the only one that we, that's kind of like on the island by itself, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's talk about the fact that going independent, trying to get some new music out there, then also reuniting with Foster McClure and McClure in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make a sound that is reminiscent of the heyday of Club Nouveau, or even Samuelle when you came out in a time frame now? I mean, how do you come up and create music that actually you think across generations can appreciate it?
Well, it's almost like a cook. If you're a chef, and you've been a chef all these years, it's like somebody saying, so how do you keep making the dishes? You know what I mean? It's the same thing. If you never leave it, you never have to come back.
Yeah.
You've been in it the whole time. In order to I mean, what your fan base love. They love the hits.
Yeah.
Fortunately enough for me, it's because I was singing the hits on the first album. And then I went solo, which was similar, my style, basically. So they never really truly got locked into me doing 6, 7, 8 albums like some of the artists, and they've heard that style for all these years. So if I try and come back with something else, they're so like, I don't know, I like the other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the stuff we did was so street, kind of urban and sophisticated, kind of like at the same time. It's like it was more or less like a style, and not, it was a sound, but it was more like a style. So the stuff we're doing right now you'll be able to kind of hear hints without us even trying, because it's just in us to do. We like drums, we like bass, we like drums, we like nice melodies, we like chords, we like chord changes, we like bridges in songs. Some people, we like intros. You know what I mean? We still like the foundation principles of music, which and as long as you stay with that.
Yeah.
And again, tell a great story with some great music. You really, your fan base they'll adapt and adjust. A lot of people did so many albums, but they died young. You know what I mean? It's like you got a lot of great artists that did a lot of albums, but they died at 36 or died at 40. You know what I mean? So you go, so what would they have been doing now? It's the progression. They still would have been doing what they do. It's just that once you have people who love your sound and what you do, as long as you don't go too far rogue on them, as long as you don't just jump off the cliff and go, what the hell? What's he doing now?
Yeah.
It's almost like as long as you stay true to your art, where you still, as long as they know it sounds like you. You know what I mean? Like nobody talks about the same stuff all the time. You don't talk in the same tone all the time. We don't talk about the same subject all the time. And that's how I feel about music. It's just like, I love acapella songs. I love Tracy Chapman songs. You know what I mean? I love the Carpenter type songs. I love, you listen to all those old formats and things of music, you go, what do they have in common? They just had a pure and honest thing about them that never gets old. And now the way music is, it almost makes you unique. Why do you think Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak and them are doing the big band sound of the funk? They're doing the Earth, Wind and Fire and the Camp Confunction. They went back and grabbed that and you know what I mean? Now people giving them genius credit for doing what was already been done all these years.
Yeah.
So it's like they just went and said, hey, you know what? Let's do that thing like the bands used to do. You know, Midnight Star and all those guys. They just went and just that's all they did was that. You know what I mean? Put them harmonies back in songs. You know, dipping on the window. You know, Bruno and them always they can already sing. So it was just like all they did was just go, let's do it together. Let's grab some of that big band horn stuff and just do music. If you do true music, you should be fine. You know, you may have a few people that go, I don't know, I just like the first stuff. But now you're building a bigger audience because we have social media. So it's like people who never would have heard of you can hear you now. You know, you got to try though. You know, you have to try. Steve, Nnamdi is getting sleepy.
Oh,
you know, we are 6 hours ahead of you, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know. I know. You know how I know? Because he does what I do when I get sleepy.
And what is that?
I start bouncing. I start moving. I start rubbing my hand. I know y'all over in London, so I said, get sleepy.
Yeah,
on a Sunday.
You know what? It's really great. It's great to hear your story, and I guess the Halftime Chat channel is trying to get stories from artists back then who made a name, who, you know, they need the flowers. You know, there's a lot of artist producers that I feel now that they're not getting the flowers that you're one of them. We need to hear your stories. It's just great to get your story, to be quite honest. I didn't realize you were still out there. It's great to see you still got the enthusiasm to make music, you know.
But your look has changed as well, though. You know, your look has changed because the last time we kind of remember you with a mustache and your
mustache and I had the hair,
yeah.
So, and every now and then I'll even go with the beard every now and then too. So.
No, I think you've aged very well. You've aged very well.
Thank you.
You know.
Yeah. It's funny when if I put my fedora or my brim on, everybody goes, "Oh, that's him. That's Samuelle." But it's like, you know what I mean? But take your head off, they don't know you. You play baseball? Are you a Cuban ball player?
Yeah.
They think I'm from Cuba or something. They think I'm a baseball player, something like that. So I don't quite know. But no, I appreciate you. That's why when I saw the DM from you and you was like, hey, and I'm thinking like, yeah, of course. Yeah, we can definitely, anybody want to talk about music? Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, a lot of people are you know, we may remember one track, we may remember the album. Mm-hmm. I was surprised to actually find out that, you know, you and Jay and Valerie were still, you know, performing. I'm thinking, wow, most groups, you know, break up and move around. I think that the core, you know, you have your ups and downs, understandable and stuff like that. But the fact that the core can still come together in one form or the other.
Yeah,
you know, after all these years is impressive. You know, I'm sure the rest could be said with En Vogue. You know, there are lots of people that still, you know, if they don't get the original 4, they probably don't feel as if it's really En Vogue and stuff. Yeah. And you talk about horror story. Pardon?
They still do a great job.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No doubt. Yeah, but you talk about horror stories. I mean, so they got their own horror stories about how they felt about things. But you know what is interesting, Steve, is the amount of talent that came from Northern California, which seems to, you know, you don't get the same, you know, people like Too Short and E40, you know, the hip hop guys get a lot of the praise. But when you think about all the musicians from, you know, yourselves and you think about the Tonys, you know, even the musicians like, you know, DOA and a lot of great musicians that moved out there. You know, I guess some people tend to forget about how that Bay Area, Oakland and Sacramento, you know, Berkeley and stuff had a sound that seemed to either be funky in one end or diverse in another end from where you're from and stuff like that.
You mentioned DOA. You talking about Derek Allen?
Yeah, Derek Allen.
Man, I love that guy. I love Derek, man. We did a song together. It's one of my more inspirational tunes. It's called "I Lift My Voice." It's kind of like a inspirational gospel type tune, man. He made that. He brought that thing alive musically. Yeah, he brought it alive.
Because when
Yeah,
you
I'll send
mentioned
it to you
about
guys.
when you yeah, please, because when you mentioned being a quartet, because I interviewed him
Yeah.
and I said, oh, he told me about the quartet. He was explaining
Mhm.
about the quartet. So when you mentioned
Yeah.
it, I'm thinking, oh, that's what DOA did and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, man. DOA is, oh man, he's an amazing brother to begin with, a guy, just in
Yeah.
general. He's so humble. He's so humble, man, to be the person he is and the projects that he does and at the level he does it at. He's just an humble dude. You know what I mean? And just super talented. And we did that together, and I, man, so appreciate it because he really, together, it just made it, what I envisioned it to be. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I'll get that to you guys so you can check it out as well.
Yeah. I mean, I know Steve will have a few things in, but there's the question I always ask my guests. And if you were stuck in an elevator, what movie would you talk about you love movies, and the question is always about what's your favorite movie? Because if you had time to kill and you needed to watch your favorite movie, what would it be?
If I had time to kill and watch my favorite movie,
Yeah, if you had to, if like, you were stuck in a lift and you had to, okay, yeah, my favorite movie that they'll give you a movie to play, or what's your favorite movie?
Gladiator.
Okay, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Yeah. The reason I love that is because it ties in so much of, if you're and whatever your faith is, whatever like that, everything ties back to that era, the Roman Empire, the Christian faith, and all that kind of stuff. The way they portrayed that was it just really brought to life how time was. You know what I mean? Like, if you weren't a Roman citizen, you were nobody, basically. You know what I mean? And he was a general. And, I don't think people grab he was a general for Rome. He was the guy who kept Rome in power, but had never been there. You see what I'm saying? All of our soldiers fight for our country because this is the country they love, right? He had never even seen Rome before. You know what I mean? But he's out fighting battles, you know what I mean? And just kept Rome in the power that it was in, but had never even been there, never even seen it, or you see what I'm saying? And that was the time people were in. That's why I was like, God, you know what I mean? It's just that's what a powerhouse did then. They go over to you and say, you're gonna fight for us. You ain't never gonna come to where we at, but you're gonna fight for what we believe in. You know what I mean? That's powerful to me when I see that. I was like, wow. But yeah, it was very well done. But I can watch Gladiator. It's about 3 hours long. It'd probably take them about that long to get the elevator doors open.
Yeah. Then what about your song? I know you've talked about your favorite singers from Sam Cooke and Teddy Pendergrass and Marvin. But if you had your one favorite song ever, what would that song be?
That's tough because I don't have just one favorite song because it depends on what mood I'm in. You know what I mean? If I'm in, like, there's no song more powerful than Change Gonna Come if I'm in that vein, if I'm in that kind of, you know what I mean? If I'm, if they're out voting and laws are trying to be passed to prevent, some of the old stuff from the old times, then that's my song, But I don't have no one song, man. It's too much music.
Yeah, no, it's
too much music. Yeah, it's no way for me to pick because, Teddy got some songs, some of his love songs and some of his breakup songs. You know what I mean? It's just too much. Marvin got some stuff. Distant Lover. I mean, it's just so much stuff. I can't even go. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? And then Donny Hathaway. Oh, you know what I mean? For all we know, and everybody. First, I mean, I love, of course. I've been so many places in my life and time. I mean, that song just, yeah. But when you hear For All We Know, I mean, it depends on what mood you're in. It just depends. Like, of course, Teddy, whether he's talking about break it up or whether he's talking about turn out the lights, you know what I mean? So It depends on what day it is, bro. It depends on if I'm gonna ride the motorcycle or I'm gonna drive the car. I'm gonna cut the grass or I'm cleaning the house. Am I in the garage working out or at the gym? You know, it just depends. I don't have no favorite song. I'm sorry.
I think what's no, which and it's understandable. I mean, well, everyone. So at least if you had to just of all the great songs, if you had to just to say, okay, you know what, I'll probably I'll just give this one.
Dude, it's hard because I've asked myself this question, but it just depends on what I'm doing, and you know, it depends on if I'm just sitting there. There's an array of songs that can come on that I love, and I go, oh wow, oh yeah, oh man, that's beautiful, oh that's so smooth, and this and this and this. But it's just, I don't know. I mean, because you know, some of Marvin's best music is not happy music. You know, it's really off the What's Going On album. So I don't know. That's
okay.
That's a tough one for me. That's the one on the test that I leave blank.
Please plead the fifth on that one. I mean, do you think though, because when you think about the state of music today, and you think about, you mentioned about the lyrics, and I remember that's one of the things that a lot of old school R&B artists, when I say old school, like 90s and stuff, are saying it. You know, when we came out, that's them. We were singing. The core message was about love. It was sung in a different way, whether it's Donald Jones, Maxwell, Joe, R. Kelly. The core was about love, and you had men being vulnerable, singing about love and relationship. It seems when gangster rap came in, it's almost as if now, man, we have to degrade our women, and then modern day R&B men are almost taking that same, you know, they're doing the same thing, you know, and even the women are not speaking about love and relationships. They're just almost putting themselves in, you know, they might have been singing a hook for Snoop Dogg's Gin and Juice, you know, for All You Care, because that seems to be how the R&B music seems to have been. The storytellers about trying to elevate seems to have disappeared. How do you see it from a person who that's your industry, and you were part of it, and you're seeing what the next generation are doing?
Well, the next generation is so lost. When I say lost, it's because the change came in the households. It started in the households where you didn't have mothers and fathers in households anymore. And they are singing about the love that they know. Okay? Because a lot of these young rappers and stuff like that, they had a single mom. They got 3 or 4 brothers and sisters. They all got different dads. Okay? At 6 and 7 years old, they were told to go get lost while the mom brings another boyfriend in the house. You know what I mean? So they are singing about love the way they know. Girls, the same thing. Girls nowadays, some of these young, beautiful women, their mothers are jealous, you know, single moms again, are jealous of their daughters because they're bringing young guys to the house, and the young guys are looking at their daughters more than they're looking at them. So these young girls, instead of honoring each other, see their mother as a bitch, right? The one that you love the most is putting you out of the house, telling you you're fast, you're trying to be a hoe, when it really is the young guys they bring into the house are more interested in their daughters than they are the moms, but they're blaming the daughters. You know what I mean? It's just like you talk to them and you get those stories. It's like, my mama told me I got to get the hell out of here, so I have to go live. You see what I'm saying? Because the girls are young, pretty, developed early, but the mama gonna bring these guys 3, 4, 5 years younger than them to the house, and the guy going there like, hey, your daughter 2 years. I should be at the daughter, not the mama. You see what I'm saying? But the mothers are taking it out on the kids. So they are talking about relationships and love the way that they know it. But I'm not going to, you know, and it's a challenge. You start thinking, well, man, maybe I better say it a little like this so they can get it. And I'm like, no. The Spirit tells me no. You know why? Because they are going to grow up one day, eventually. And they will finally one day maybe experience love, or they'll hear you talk about it from a different way, because it's not the 60s and 70s. They're hearing you do it in the 2020s
Mm.
And they go, well, I never heard a guy say it like, I've never seen a guy be nice to me like that, or, you know what I mean, compliment me like that, or he talking about make love to my mind, not my body. Nobody's talking to him like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a reason, if you're around them long enough, it's a reason when they get late 30s and stuff, you start listening to them. They went from, shoot them up, boot them up, boot them up. Now you hear in the car is, think of it, let go. Looks like a turn out the light. You go, wait a minute, ain't that the same girl just 4 years ago? You see what I'm saying? They eventually, if they live long enough, they eventually start kind of growing up, and they want to hear the Marios, baby, I just don't get it, or the Joes, or Jaheim, one of my favorites. You know what I mean? They start hearing, if I had, and start hearing these songs like, I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda. If I get another chance, I love you again.
Yeah.
I'm not changing what I talk about. That's another reason I never came back too soon. Is because it wouldn't have been accepted. It was a time, man. I'll put it this way: the industry went dark. And honestly, it's dark now.
Yeah.
It's just being kind of, if you watched any of these award shows lately, it's almost like I don't know if I'm watching a demonic exorcist movie or I'm watching an American Music Award, because I'm like, why are people dressed like devils?
Yeah.
Why is there fire and people with sharp teeth? You know what I mean? It's just like, what does that got to do with the song?
Yeah.
So I said, I'll never forget, a long time ago, I remember somebody asked, they said, this one person, they were mad at him. They said, well, he's supposed to be Christian and he all off at the bar. I said, yeah, but he wasn't. They said, but yeah, he don't drink though. They play good music. It's a live band they play over there. Well, he shouldn't be. Why? He don't drink. He ain't getting drunk. He ain't. Yeah. And the preacher said, that's what we're talking about. The Pharisees got mad at Christ because Christ was hanging out with what they call undesirables, right? And Christ is like, why would I hang out with y'all? You guys think you know it all already. Y'all already supposed to be saved. I'm trying to save the lost. So in other words, he's like, God needs to be everywhere. Okay? If you don't drink and you don't smoke, but you like live music, good old fashioned love, singing my baby mama, ain't nothing wrong with that. See, we've been programmed to think that if you are not totally evil, you got to be good or evil. There is no, no thing there. So I said, I'm just going to keep singing about real love, real relationships, real life, real things. I'm not going to conform. That's why I didn't do those hooks years ago when I could have probably made 5 or 10 grand a pop.
Wow.
And then went on the road singing. But I said, there's no comeback from that. And if you don't believe me, ask Montel Jordan. Montel Jordan, love that guy. Saved, praise and worship at that massive church. He's out doing shows now. Did a couple shows with him when we were out performing. And I don't know if you've seen his Unsung, but remember how big he was, Montel Jordan. Remember the songs he had?
Yeah.
And he said, man, it almost cost him his marriage, but his wife stuck around with him. He said, because he was out doing, the songs, and you listen to all the songs. And one of my favorites was on the dance floor. I can't think of the hook.
Yeah.
But it's basically talking about cheating and all that kind of stuff like that. He said after that, and he got it right with his wife, and he, said, hey, okay, I'm just gonna put out, beautiful love music and stuff, still nice beats and everything. When he did that, the label dropped him.
Wow.
Because the label's like, we ain't trying to push that, man. Your fan base is over here with you cheating and sleeping with every girl you get you get a chance. You see what I'm saying? There was no comeback from that. So that's why I said, if I never go there, it's enough working against you already, but I don't need to have a 3 million fan base who's used to Samuelle talking about how I'm gonna pin your head up against the headboard and spread you, all this kind of stuff, and then go, nah, I think I'm gonna go over here. See, I've been the same the whole time. I'm singing about either dancing at the club or whatever, but never so far gone to where you go, now listen to him. He didn't went all the way this way. No, I've always been, so I just said, you have to sacrifice somewhere. But see, now when I write and sing, if you listen to the song, Here I Am, I don't know if you listened to it. I think I sent you the YouTube. If you go to YouTube, you pull it up, Here I Am by Samuelle.
Yeah, and they actually, you just sent me the
Oh, okay. I thought I sent the thing with the link.
The picture. The link? It was the picture.
Okay.
No,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was this picture. Yes.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube and say "Here I Am," Samuelle, it's getting some real great feedback because it's like it's kind of presented toward it's like a Latina, it's like a Latin type, beautiful R&B ballad. And it's getting some great feedback. And I said, good, because it's like, that's really what women want to, they really want to hear you talk about this. You know, like I said, eventually they grow up, man. Little girls don't stay little girls forever. They grow up. And when they grow up, sometimes, you know, like nowadays, since they can find music anywhere forever, it ain't like the old days. Once it's out the record store, it's done. Remember back in the days, if it was once it left the record store, it was done.
Yeah.
You know, Steve knew that back then. That's why Steve said, I'm getting my CD now. Thank you. And he still got them.
He probably has 1,000 CDs behind him.
How many of us, even the people who, like myself, who don't even have that CD he has, the one I have of Black Paradise, I got it somewhere, but I couldn't just go grab it. And I love that. I love the cover, the whole thing. That's why I say when he said it like that, I was about to say, Steve, what's your address? Steve goes, somebody came in here and the only CD they stole was Black Paradise. But no, it's just like they can find your music forever now, basically. You know what I mean? So you just do music, man. I tell people all the time, just keep creating quality music. Okay. You got to do the social media thing. I'm getting kind of new to the social media where I know about it, but I'm not a person who talks about himself all the time. You know, I'd rather go and set up a performance somewhere and go perform and then talk to you in between music or something. But I'm not the guy to go, hi, you know, this is me. Samuelle. Yeah, that's not really me, but I know now people want to know who you are. Like you guys said, I didn't even know you guys were out doing it. So that's a confirmation. On my social media, if I said, hey, I've been out doing this, and they go, oh, really? You know what I mean? Because like a lot of people, my friend sent me some stuff when I told him I was doing this interview. He sent me some stuff where they were saying, hey, where's the guy who did this song? Tell me, so you like what you see? And one guy says, I don't know, man, but I'll be jamming it on Grand Theft Auto. It's the shit. You know, they talking like that. And then one guy said, I heard he had some issues with substance abuse in women. And he was cracking up and I was cracking up and I was thinking to myself like, oh wow, because see, if people don't hear from you, they just start forming their own opinions and they start just creating stuff. So I said, okay. When I saw it was funny, but I said, wow, how many other people said, wow, is that what happened? And just went, well, okay, another one bites the dust because it happens in this business, right? So they have no idea the time I spent in the gym and trying to take care of myself. I said, didn't nobody say, I heard he was working out, man. They said, I heard he was substance abuse and chasing women.
Yeah.
Nobody said, no, he's been married. You know, he's a husband and a father. But that's what made me go, okay, social media. I see I'm going to have to, you know, every now and then just chime in and talk a little bit, you know, and share. And they call it sharing now. I'm going to have to share a little bit.
Yeah.
So people will know, you know, that I'm out doing stuff and I'm alive and well and I'm not on substance abuse.
No, I mean, Stevie, I know you've kind of said the music. Was there any just final things to talk to Samuelle about the music?
No, I'd just like to say that I just feel, and I think we all feel lucky that we come from a time period in the late 80s, early 90s, right up to say the mid 90s, where every week there was something amazing coming out. I'm just glad I lived through that period. And it's just great to be able to talk to artists like yourself. We wouldn't have got that opportunity back then. There was so much going on.
Yeah.
It's just great, like you say, to get your story. And it's just great that I'm lucky that I've come through that period to hear that music. I still appreciate it, you know, 30, 40 years on, you know.
Well, I appreciate you guys, man. Yeah, I appreciate you guys, really, man. And Steve, I got to get your information too, because I have Nnamdi. Nnamdi.
Yeah, it's like Andy with an N. That's what I just say.
Okay, Nnamdi. Okay, and then how you pronounce your last name?
Okoye, like Christian Okoye. I don't know if you ever knew the Kansas City 19 Nightmare. If you ever NFL.
Okoye.
Okoye.
Okay, Nnamdi Okoye. I love those Nigerian names. They all have meaning, you know. But yeah, Steve, get your information, like I said, so I can share, you know, my new music and things. I can just email you guys and get some feedback from you, and you know, you guys can play it, whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? And just so you know what I'm doing at all times, because you know we're kind of bonded now. This is like the first kind of like radio interview thing that I've done since I've, you know, in a while, based on me, not Club Nouveau, but based on Samuelle. So I appreciate it big time.
Yeah, I am good to I will reply with Stevie's details in there, which I've done now. But yeah, no, as I said, if we, because next thing would be because you sent me pictures, but there was no link, so we could listen to the music and then and get it out. So that would be helpful. I know Steve will probably play it on his, if based on what he thinks on his show. But it's been, as I said, you look different, but I think you're more on Facebook than on Instagram, which seems to be.
Facebook was the first thing. And the funny part about it is I never really go on Facebook. It's just that Facebook I'll get people saying, you got somebody to want to, and I just, okay, accept, accept. And I try and accept and they go, you can't accept any more people, like it's full. And I'm like, Facebook is full? You know what I mean? I didn't even realize it was full. So that's what I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting ready to share this with you guys right now. So where should I send this YouTube link to while I got you guys on the phone?
I just sent an email with both my copied in Steve. I just replied to the last email and I copied in Stevie.
Okay. So I'll send that to you guys within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you can
So what we'll probably do is we will definitely have you back on, and we're going to go live when we get you back on, because that's a very different experience. I mean, this is halftime chat, meaning that we're talking about your career and your journey and stuff.
Yeah.
When Stevie Sheldon, who has gone AWOL, and I go live on the New Jack Swing podcast, we normally go live and we get the community who join in and are asking questions off the bat. So that would be something that would be great, just to talk about the music and stuff. I do need to check out, because Teddy Riley is my all-time favorite and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna track down his remixes of his mixes.
Listen, we got to try and get, maybe you can help us get Foster McElroy. I don't know if they do.
I definitely can get Tommy. I can definitely get you Tommy.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be interesting because I just Bob Robinson from Tim and Bob, we just had him on, and so we love interviewing the producers as well, because just to get into their head and stuff like that.
They would love it.
Okay. So but definitely we're going to come back live with you, Sam. But if you just send us the link, we can, before we go live, we will just try and let people to know about the music, and I guess it's what's great to see and hear is that you've stuck to your principles and values that you've stuck through, and you've said no horror stories, and actually there's a sense of you saying, what, if I've had a smooth sailing career so far, why do I need to cut corners at this stage? And so keeping to your principles and values is great. So we'll do all we can to really make sure people get to support the music and stuff like that.
I'm looking on here and it says that you are a mental health therapist as well.
Yes, so I work with under 21s, so mainly teenagers and kids, and then families. And
I have a friend of mine has a son who's he's in music, and his son is diagnosed with schizophrenic, and we did a song together. It's actually called Voices.
Wow.
So I'll send you that as well, because that's what it's for. It's for where he works at downtown Oakland at one of the biggest mental health places that they have, and we did a song together for that cause. Yeah, so I'll send you that as well, so you can guys can check that out as well. It's a very
I mean, I guess people don't realize that it could be like 8 people talking to you at the same time, and you're then trying to concentrate on one voice. So that's
why it's called Voices. That's the name of the song. Voices, that's the name of it. Yeah.
Wow. No, it'd be interesting to be able to hear that. I mean, I think part of what I've been trying to do through this is really promoting mental health awareness among men, among the Black community, specifically, just to say, look, this is an opportunity to talk, so it'll be interesting to be able to hear that. Yes.
Yeah, I'll send that over when I send the other one over.
Okay. But I appreciate the fact that you agreed to come on, and share your story, because when we there's very not too much, we don't see too much on you, interviews
Hey,
and
that's a
telling
good,
your
and
story.
nowadays that's a good thing. Nowadays, that's so funny. I was looking. I said, if you look up, I see so much good and bad on people over there. I said, but you don't see much. And I said, see, now I get to come in and go from here all the way out, here to the rest of my days now. But through those wild times, the times where you don't quite make the best decisions, when you're in your teen, when you're like early 20s and stuff like that. I said, whew. I said, boy, I missed them times. I say, look, me, you, and Steve, we all sitting here right now. And look, now we got a head on straight. So
Yeah, yeah.
hey, look,
And
we'll just
yes,
chronicle the times from here out now.
yeah, yeah. But it's glad that you're still doing music too, especially and now. So it's one thing to be doing it back in the late 80s, and to 40 plus years later to still be able to sing. I mean, I think what Steve will probably testify is what we love about what you do is that you're singing through the interviews almost like people are, most singers are afraid to sing because they're like, well, I don't want to be held out on this, and I don't want people to judge me on my voice. And you're singing as if, yeah, remember this part, and it's like, wow, that is really impressive to see that you're so confident in your vocals that you don't, there's no warm up and stuff. You sing it and enjoy it and express yourself, and that's the joy of of what we're hearing in your voice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a lifestyle, man. It's a blessing. I tell people it's a blessing. It's not something that you take lightly, but you really, it's a blessing. Last night, me and the wife went to a concert, and it was Mario, the singer Mario.
Yeah.
The one sings Neo and
Wow.
Robin Thicke. And Robin Thicke. They did a show last night, and Robin Thicke is the ultimate performer. He's a bad boy. I got to give it to Robin Thicke, man.
Wow.
He comes out and performs. Neo is a very polished performer. Neo, he's kind of like an Usher type performer. He's not quite Usher, but he's Neo. You know what I mean? He has all the choreography and everything. And it was nice to watch. I love watching what the R&B men are doing. Right now, the ones at the level, that are pulling the big shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I get to take what they do that works and keep it and add it to mine and get rid of what doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? I'm always forever a student.
Mm.
That's one thing I am, forever a student, man. I tell people, you ain't never going, and never will you ever know it all. So if you just always remain a student, you'll keep learning. And that's me. Just keep learning. Just keep learning, and being appreciative. And and like I said, when people text you or call you and say, hey, you got a little time to talk about music, first person that tells you no, they don't love music. I don't know what they got going on, but this here, what we're doing is priceless. You know what I mean? Because why would anybody want to talk to you unless you've done something worth talking about? You know what I mean? Somehow they forget that. They're caught in the moment. I'm like, dude, people want to talk to you about something that you've done or you're doing.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys taking the time, man. It's been a pleasure.
No, yeah, but as I said, we'll definitely come back once we get the music and stuff. Well, Stevie, you have to tag him on Facebook, not on IG, because Stevie, when he plays stuff on his station, he'll tag everyone on Instagram. But since you're on Facebook, I'm sure.
Well, I'm on Instagram too. I'm on Instagram too. I'm on the Singing Samuelle. Yeah, I'm on the Singing Samuelle and Program Man. I got two different Instagrams. One was when I was doing more personal training. That's the one, the guy who said I was on substance abuse should probably see that one.
Okay.
But yeah, I got two. I got Singing Samuelle and Program Man.
Which your main one on Instagram?
Now you asking me a question. The first one I did was probably Program. Let me see. It was probably Program Man. Let me make sure.
Yeah, I see the Singing Samuelle.
You see the Singing Samuelle?
But it's 3 days ago. Hold on.
Okay, so
yeah,
probably you see the Singing Samuelle?
Yeah, you posted stuff 3 days ago.
That's the one you should probably send it to, because the Program Man one is more or less from when I was doing my I had personal training I did for years. So
okay.
That was probably more of that one, but yeah. So just singing Samuelle.
Okay.
Program Man has more followers right now because that's the one I used to. Everybody would send stuff to that, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just see you right now. Follow back. Yeah.
Okay. Now just send it to. I'll send it to Steve and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Oh yeah. So we've got So yeah. Hey, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you loved what you watched, there's over 100 artists that we've interviewed. So please check out the videos. Remember to like, share, how not unsubscribe. But better still, become a member of Halftime Chat and get exclusive videos ahead of time. But thanks for watching. Take care.